stops, no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Oh, she's muted. Hello, everybody. Teresa will be here when she unmutes. You there, babe?
I froze, right? Was I frozen?
A little bit. I'm like, hey, all by myself here.
Well, no, because you looked frozen to me, but I was like, I think I'm frozen.
It's like, wait, you guys.
Did I have a cool look on my face at least? Was it like?
He was like, yes.
Was that what I was like? I love it. That's perfect.
He was hitting the button.
It's my personality, so I was like,
Yeah.
That like that?
Just like that,
Hi,
too.
Yes.
Oh, Karen.
Oh my gosh. Hi, Trista. Hi, Susanna. Hi, Patu.
All right, Tay, it's either me or it's you because you're frozen on my end. Guys, help us out in chat. Twisted Gemini. Sunset Gazing, thank you so much for gifting those memberships. You're like such a sweetheart. Oh, and it's just me. Queen V, a cool gamer. She'll be right back. Probably technical difficulties. It's been a day, guys. Actually, it's been a crazy start to a week is what it's really been. Hey, Shmita.
Any better?
Here she goes. She's back.
Am I better?
You're good. You're good. So far,
Okay,
so
well, I
good.
said hi to a ton of people. Did anybody even hear me?
I don't think so. I said hi to some, but Salty C.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back.
I literally just was going through chat. I'm like, hi, Karen. Hi, J-Dub. Hi, Twisted Gemini. Hi, Salty C. Hi, everybody. I don't know. I don't know who heard me, who didn't hear me. Hi, everybody. Hi, Tammy. Cool gamer. I'm just gonna say hi to people as I see them now. Yeah. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know what's going on. This is just like Muffy.
J Dub. I love it.
I hope this is not like gonna be a sign about how this is gonna go tonight.
No, we're not even talking about that. We're just right into it. You're fine. All good. It'll be mine.
Hi, C Dub.
Now I got the echo. C Dub.
Okay, so there's just so much crazy. My life is kind of a mess right now. I got a lot of crap going on with my dad who's not well. So I have just been, this week has been very hard. I've been all over the place. I've been trying to do my best to keep up. If I haven't seen you guys in other chats, life is just a little bit kind of crazy right now. But we're still going to do it. We're still here to do it. Chad's kids have not been in the courtroom unless they were in the courtroom today. But this isn't Chad's trial, so I don't know if they'll show up for his, maybe.
Well, we're sorry, Twisted Gemini. Hope everything works out.
Yeah, I really do, because I feel your pain right now. I'm kind of like, I don't know. My brain is a disaster. I feel like what does Zulema say, that her brain is an aquarium?
Yeah.
I feel like my brain right now is an aquarium.
Yeah. Got a whole lot going on with a lot of things floating around, making little pit stops everywhere in your head.
Oh, but BR the Star accidentally deleted a message, but was trying to approve another message. I do that. I do that sometimes too.
We love you, BR.
Hi, Millie. Hi, Lupe. Thank you very much.
True crime.
So my dad has not been well for a while. For a while. But I swear he's like the man with 9 lives. I always say, like, because he'll go downhill, and then all of a sudden he's like a spring chicken again, and it's like, what, you were like on your deathbed. I'm so confused. I don't know what's happening. So I'm always concerned though, like, is this the one time that things are going to go downhill? And then, you know, obviously what that would mean. And so it's always very stressful. I'm very lucky to still have both of my parents. So, I mean, I don't want to complain because I know that people have lost their parents, and I dread the day. So, but it's just been pure chaos. So thank you guys for bearing with me. And if there's something that I missed, please feel free to tell me. If there's something that I'm upside down about, let me know.
We'll fix it. Don't worry. You're good. Hey, Alibi.
Yes, hi, Alibi.
Oh, look who's here.
I was wondering if they wanted to find out what happened to their mom, is why I thought they would be at Lori's trial. True, because she is charged with conspiracy to kill Tammy, but I don't know. They've literally only done, from what I remember, they've done that one interview with like Dateline or 2020 or whomever it was.
Mm-hmm. Not too much with them. Maybe it's just too much. Maybe knowing that they have to look forward to Chad's trial too. Maybe
I also think they do blame Lori, so I'm wondering that might be why they should be there, because they're the ones who think that Chad changed when he met Lori, and then Lori's family is more that Lori changed when she met Chad. The outskirts all kind of think it was the collision of the two of them.
Yeah.
Oh, Trista, I'm sorry to hear that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yes, just say a little prayer for my pops, and we'll go from there.
You're with us too, babe.
We'll go from there. Well, Jax, I do know that Chad's attorney has been there basically almost every day, all day.
Mm-hmm.
They could be called as witnesses, but they did do. Judge Boyce had already ruled on who was considered a victim that could actually be in the courtroom. They would be considered victims because they'd be victims, or they would be with Tammy, on Tammy's side. So Colby is allowed to be in the courtroom even though he was a witness. He's just choosing not to be. He doesn't want to be. And then Kay and Larry are also, or I should say Kay was a witness. It doesn't matter now because she's already testified, but the ruling was beforehand. So, yeah. Jax, I don't know. It's kind of weird, huh? I'm glad that you brought it up. I'm thinking. Did you cover a case Jax was friends with somebody or something? Yes. Yes, I did. On another platform or another channel back in the day. So, is Jax,
was it the Christy Sheets case?
Jax was very close with Christy Sheets, yes. Mm-hmm. Like one of her best friends.
It was a good case. And Jax did great.
Jax did do great.
She did. She
provided so much anyway.
Mm-hmm. And I loved her love for the kids. Like her whole kind of like message was, she was telling the story, but for the sake of the kids as well. And I thought that was like really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Being her friend.
It gives Pryor a heads up. It really does. I thought about that too. And I was like, they're going to have to kind of switch things around because these are technically all the same witnesses that are going to, or mostly the same witnesses that are going to come for Chad's hearing. So Pryor's going to have an idea of what type of questioning and what type of answers. He's really going to be paying attention because what he's going to want to do is impeach these witnesses, which prove they're lying about something. So if their story changes just a tiny bit, he can use that. Ew. And I've always thought that Pryor's a little bit better of an attorney too. Oh, really? Today would have been Taylor's 29th birthday?
Oh.
Aww. 29? That's kind of crazy to think about.
Dates. Hi, I've learned a lot. How are you?
Yep, see? You got a good memory, Tammy. You did. You remembered. I have learned a lot. I can't believe they even allowed Chad's attorney in the courtroom because he does get a heads up. But then I was thinking, here's the problem, is this trial is technically all going to be public record anyway. So the transcripts, he could technically get those. And now the audio is being released, so he could listen to it. So, why Why not just sit there, right? He's there.
It's something he wants to actually see, because he could just listen to the audio. He clearly wants everything from that trial, whether it be sidebars, whether it be what the witnesses look like, what Lori looks like.
Brandy. Did you say, I guess I don't know what I did wrong? What did you do wrong?
Oh, Brandy. I think Brandy was timed out somehow.
Oh, you might be the you didn't do anything wrong, probably. BR said that she accidentally got somebody when she was trying to approve another message,
By
another
accident.
comment, but she didn't know what comment she accidentally got. And so it was probably you, Brandy. You didn't do anything.
No, you did nothing, Brandy.
It was just a slip of the finger, as Letitia would say.
Mm-hmm. Yada yada. I can't even, like, I won't even do it. Thank you, Dina. Thank you, because that's what I was about to say.
You're such a bad girl, Brandy. You had to get put in timeout. Hi, Gravity. For anybody who I said hello to and then didn't hear me say hello, I had some connection issues at the beginning of this. And if you're just getting here, I'm hello to everybody. I don't know. It just kind of goes with like the cluster of how I feel in my brain at the moment. And I'm probably going to say hi to the same person like 6 times and then not say hi to somebody else. Please forgive me. I am asking for just a little grace.
Giving her all the grace in the world tonight. And thanks, Diane.
Thank you, Diane. I appreciate it. Okay. Well. So, we're going to get a little bit of a reprieve here. Have you been catching the West Trial live? Yes. So that's one of the things that I do is I have the West Trial up, and then I have my phone with the Stauch Trial, and then I watch tweets for Vallow, but then I listen to Nate Eaton every night, and then I listen to the audio that he uploads. So kind of all over.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Sure.
Thanks, Crime Curious. I appreciate it. A human being. She's like, you can say hi to me all you want to. Okay, so we're going to get a bit of a reprieve because the West case, they're going to see the locations today for the afternoon and tomorrow. So they only had a half a day today. And then you're so concise. I try. But you never know. You never know. You go crazy every once in a while around here. I really like routine, and so I think that's another thing that really stresses me is this week has thrown off my routine a lot, and I'm not good with that. Or we can just start breaking shit.
It's just like let it all fall over. Hold on.
Hi, Mama, 4 boys. Lex Luthor. Yeah, so West doesn't come back until Tuesday because they actually had no court set for Friday or Monday. So we have a bit of a reprieve there. And then as we know, the Stauch Trial does not air on Thursdays. So we'll have a bit of a break there, which at this point, after listening to today's testimony, wasn't even testimony, today's recordings, so tired of her voice.
Dude, I can't.
Did I say hi to Seth? Hi, Seth.
Hey, Seth. I'm tired of the trial, period.
Are you?
I'm yes, I want to see those boys get justice. Absolutely. The audio, and then the fact that if I have
you're talking about the West Trial. I was talking about the Stauch Trial.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Stauch Trial, we've had to listen to phone calls all day today. Yeah. That one. But the West Trial, the audio is shit. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it is. So it's very hard. And I just got a new pair of earbuds, so I'm hoping that will help for next week. I haven't even set them up. They're literally sitting in the box right now. Right yeah. Mm-hmm. They were ordered prior to my week starting in chaos. So yeah, your ears are ringing. Yeah, I'm just so tired of hearing her voice. And then just watching the top of her head. I'm like, I want to see the top of your head.
Her voice and her manipulation. I'm over. I'm done. I'm like,
I'm so tired of hearing about her all the time. It's like,
she's
what
mentally.
What about me? And then it's like, well, he's like, okay, well, what about Gannon? And she's like, well, what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And this does have to do with Gannon. And you and I being together, we would be able to figure all this stuff out because we would be able to find Gannon if we were together. But because you're such an asshole, I'm not going to be able to come out there. I'm not there. And I'm like,
literally. Like,
So for funsies, I like to upload those audios. So not only do I listen to them there, but I'm also, I think the second call from today is uploading right now. So I already split them, combined them, and they're all in the works of being uploaded to the channel. So anybody who would like to listen
to just the calls.
those calls,
Those
yes, if you want to listen to those calls, they're going to be on the channel for you. And if you choose not to, I won't hold it against you.
No,
Just saying.
no, just won't. We'll talk about it tonight, but we will not hold it against you at all. Promise. Yes.
Yada, 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 me, whatever, me. I've played the clip. If you haven't heard it from Crime Curious's channel, you have to listen to it. You have to listen to, let me see, maybe I should just play it again because it's literally the best thing in the whole world. Let me pull it up over here so I can do it, because that might be why I'm struggling, is because I actually have videos uploading and it might be pulling too much of my brain or whatever.
I feel like just having to listen to her is enough mental abuse for us right here. So I can't imagine what anybody went through in that home. Nope.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna play that. I just love this one anyway. Like, it legit should be. I should just like upload a clip of it to the channel and just be like, and just hit play like as a clip. That's what I should do. Hold on. Crime Curious.
Marshy. Inspector Gadget, Jane Doe. Grandma Bunny. Elena, you're a gem, babe.
That over here.
Yes, she does. Letitia can make a person twitch for sure.
You really can.
No, I'm being nice. I'm being really nice.
So think about being married to her for. Was he married to her since 2000 and? See, my dates aren't even in my head anymore. 2015.
Yeah.
The Wonder Woman of YouTube. Seth, I love you for saying that, but I don't know if it's the truth.
Oh, stop it. Muffy's the best. Oh, yes, play this.
Whatever. Anyway, whatever. You know, whatever. I don't know. I'm not speculating. So, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yep, bam. So then, whatever. Yada, yada, yada. Whatever. So, whatever. Yada, yada, yada. Whatever. You know, yada, yada, yada. Whatever, yada, yada. Whatever, so, whatever. Yada, yada, yada. Whatever. You know, whatever. So then, whatever.
Yes, Heather.
Yeah. Well, then, at that point, I mean, let me get to that part. He's screaming, crying, whatever. So, whatever. And was anything else, whatever it was. Beginning, this happened, yada, 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 yada. All right, so, yada, yada, yada. Yada, yada, yada. So then, well, whatever. So, to get to the next part, whatever it was. I said, Gannon, why do you have blood on your wall? So on and so on. Yada, yada, yada. So whatever, same thing. Yada, yada, yada. Whatever it may be. So then, yada, 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 yada. The Palmer Lake area, whatever.
That must have been a really good one because it got like a fourth yada. It was a yada, 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 yada.
Whatever, yada, yada. Whatever you want to call it. Yada, yada, yada. Something. Or whatever it may be. Whatever you want to call it. So then, whatever it may be. You know, doing crazy things, whatever. Play it in my head again. Who do you have me on speakerphone with? Because I know you do.
What are you talking about, Tisha?
Yeah, what are you talking about,
Who's
Tisha?
listening to my conversation?
You're a disaster, Tisha.
Mm-hmm. She's great with details. She just doesn't like telling the truth. I mean.
And then now, see, the thing is like, now the audios today, all that stuff just sticks out to me. So it's like, what did they talk about today? And it's like, yada, 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 blah, 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 whatever. You know, so then, like, that's what I hear when I hear her talk now.
Every time I hear the calls, it just displays their relationship that much more again. It's like you can dig all inside that relationship. And, yep, especially the third or fourth call.
Oh, could you imagine if she did take the stand and then Michael Allen's like, so the last time you saw Gannon, she was like, yeah, so, you know, Monday, yada, 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 and then blah, 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 and then whatever, Michael Allen, whatever.
Oh, I feel bad for all of them now. Yeah, very annoying.
I was using the reporter's phone. I wondered about that too when I realized that it was Nicole and then it was maybe Nicole, but I still think I'm wondering because she also had all those burner phone numbers and whatnot. So was that and yada yada yada. So was that from one of those? I don't know. I wondered that.
Yeah.
I needed a bottle of wine after that.
Seriously, alibi. Seriously.
Right. I hope the last call Al cusses her the fuck out. He gets close. He's like, "You're fucking lying.
Yeah.
You're fucking lying to me, and I think you had something to do with it." And
The aggression and his lack of tolerance for the bullshit is just
he's so done.
yeah. It's
She
like
really
literally
sees exactly what is going on in her brain and never filters. It's like a lot of her talking to herself, like she's practicing her response.
literally. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point, Crime Curious. When she's singing at the end of the sentence, it's almost always bullshit. Hi,
Mhm.
Colleen. I hate those words now, but I can't even LOL at this version.
It's terrible.
I just can't imagine that they will, because the insanity that she's going for is dissociative identity disorder, and I don't feel like that's been proven at all. But I mean, I'm not one of the jurors, so it could go any which way. And we haven't heard any of the experts talk. And just, I think for me, like, I'm not over the trial because I just have felt like the prosecution has been just so on point.
They're amazing.
I don't think I've ever watched a trial where I feel like the prosecution team has done a better job. And I watch a lot of trials.
Yeah.
I'm legit in love with this whole prosecution yada yada.
Michael Allen makes so much sense out of whatever does not. He has turned this case into an organized, like, legit case file. Like I don't even know how to say it. He covers every end. There's nothing he misses. He fixes everything that you don't understand. If the defense tries to muddy something, he cleans it right up. Like, it's just, yep, his whole team.
I don't find him attractive, but I find him attractive now.
Right. Yes.
He's one of those that I'm like, damn, he's so smart. Like, that's kind of sexy.
Like, we all kind of love you, Michael Allen. We really do.
Right.
We do. We do.
I feel like they just have done such a great job.
Yep.
He just is.
Yeah. Really good job.
Yeah. Could you imagine if he was actually a prosecutor with Judge Newman? I just think they'd probably all take pleas.
Yeah.
They'd be like, no, we're just going to take a plea. We don't want to go to court with Michael Allen and Judge Newman. We're done.
Yeah. Mr. Cook is kind of funny when it comes to just his overall responses to these phone calls. He wants nothing to do with them. He's like, I'm not fighting any of this. I'm not doing anything. I'll either read a book. I'll almost fall asleep. He tries so hard. Like, and he's the one that seems to, I want to say he almost, I don't want to say he likes Letitia, but I see them have a little bit more of conversation during court. I see them. No, Mr. Cook, the other one.
Cook?
Yeah, he likes to pat her on
They're
her
just
back.
biding their time. Oh, you know what? I gotta save this picture real quick.
He like rubbed her back after Harley. He did it right before they were leaving again, and like they had their like little cut up together. I'm like, okay.
I find his brain.
Of course. They're like, we're just here.
I just always remembered he said you can't medicate a mean person. Yeah, there's not a. Well, I mean, I guess you could probably Xanax him to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I like that a lot.
He was amazing today.
Yes.
He was.
Well, he was from like the BAU. So I'm like, you are my kind of guy.
Yeah.
You are my kind of guy.
I took the most notes with him. He was that informative. Hey, Mallory.
I think Cook is weird too. Hi, Mallory.
Oh, he's
I think
super
Cook is weird. He's so weird.
He is weird.
He's so weird, and he does. He just goes up there and he's just like, so in case like you don't know, like I'm me and Mr. Tellini. We're the defendant's attorneys.
I feel like Tellini has a better personality. He wants to be like that much more. Where I feel like Cook is just like, like we're here. Like day one vibes. Like this is just what it is now. This is our client. We're already sorry. We have to deal with her. We want this over.
Okay, I'm going to show you guys these real quick. We were going to start with West, but of course here we are with Stauch already, so we're just going to keep going with it.
We can.
Because anything is fine. We're going to do all three regardless. But I want to show you guys these, but I have to save them first because I took one of these, and then I think it was Christine or Sluice. It was one of the others that took the other one, but Da, 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 da. So this is today. All these calls are playing, right? And we're just having to listen to her over and over and over again. And so this is funny. Hold on. Let me see where it'll pop up at. Will it pop up over there? Hopefully it does. Okay, there's one. Hold on.
The judge is great.
There's two. Hold on, I want to separate them so you can see them. You gotta see them all. You gotta see them all next to each other. Hold on. And then my favorite is this one. There.
Is that Cook? Is it Cook?
It's one of her attorneys. Look at them all.
It's Cook. Or he reads the mental
They're just like,
Bible.
how did this become my life?
Ooh.
Oh, man, they were perfect. This is what they all look like today. And I'm like, is he flip? I think this guy in the middle is flipping Letitia off. I'm pretty sure he's flipping her off.
These phone calls are brutal, man. Like it's one thing to hear testimony from different witnesses and things like that and law enforcement. It is another to hear these like just ear bleeding, gross phone calls of all of her lies and manipulation and just evilness. Ooh.
Gravity's like, where's the Daybell portal? How do I get into the portal of Daybell?
That's great, Gravity. That was perfect.
Oh my gosh. It's so bad though. I was like, this is legit like how we all feel today.
Yes.
Oh goodness.
Serenity now.
Serenity now. Why did this choose me? Why me? This is very much a why me. The judge is like, I'm fucking retiring after this.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna listen to anything like this again.
There's actually a couple people who really did end their careers after this case, like after dealing with this broad. They were just done.
Well, that's what that one they said that one that Bethel did.
Yeah, she was amazing.
Hi CDT.
Jinx.
Marshall's all, I trust the judge because of his voice. I love his voice, but I swear I cannot handle him clearing his throat. I'm glad that it's like going down now. He's not doing it as much. His voice is perfection.
I love
it's
his
like
voice.
but he's got to stop it.
He may have done that in those first couple of days because look what they were going over, and maybe this like just kind of had to hit him. So maybe the whatever that was maybe because he was holding back some tears. I know Michael Allen, the first day or two, he had a hard time getting some things out when like talking about Gannon.
He's no Newman. I like him though.
I do.
I still think he's definitely got a frog in there. I still think that he's probably like, I'm definitely retiring after this. Oh yeah, she did. She put all the hair on it. I don't think I have a picture of that though. See, why did my computer do that? Now all my pictures just went away. Whatever. It's fine.
If it's from the first week, I have hair down pictures in Discord if you want them.
No, she was like putting her hair up. And then she always touches she's constantly putting her hands like in her mouth and like.
Mm-hmm. You don't touch all these things and then touch your face.
Somebody was asking if anybody has seen her teeth, because every time she smiles in trial, do I have that picture? Let me see if I have that one. I might.
Maybe she don't have any anymore.
And I was like, I don't know if I've actually seen her teeth. Oh shoot, I didn't save that picture.
No.
Darn it. Yeah, there's one that she's like, and I was like, oh, maybe she doesn't.
You know what? She really does always block her mouth. So yeah.
She smiles and smirks almost daily.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hi. Their lives. They'll have a new appreciation for their lives after this. Yes.
Literally.
Okay, so I got to think back. I'm not just today, because today was just bullshit and chaos. So let me go back. Let's go back a day or so, because we still have Monday, Tuesday. No, do we have Monday?
Day 9,
Monday.
day 10, and day 11.
Yeah.
Right.
So let me look at my notes real quick so I can remember who was who and what was what. Oh, so day 9 was Harley. That was a big one. That was day 9. That was already Monday. They hit that right off the bat. I wasn't expecting it, but I think Sleuth Investigates was like, I have a feeling Harley's going to testify this week. And then they're like, we call Harley Hunt.
And isn't it a little that she pulled her whole finger flipping stunt and then boom, Harley testifies? So maybe that's why she knew, maybe that was her way.
Al was like, yeah, I'm 5 weeks pregnant. He didn't believe that crap.
Mm-mm.
He didn't believe
Always
her at
the
all.
excuse. Yeah.
Harley didn't give me as much as I wanted. And I know there was somebody who was in the chats not that long ago who actually said, I think Harley's going to be a dud. And I don't feel like she was necessarily a dud, but I definitely didn't get everything that I wanted from her. And now that I've had a couple of days to think about how I really feel about the situation, because I wasn't sure. Did you get the impression that she was lying, or did you think she was being honest?
I think she was being honest up until she had to get to specific questions that related to the road trip and Gannon. And that's when she starts hitting you with, I don't know. I don't remember. And that's that little attitude you see come out that I can see where, and again, young teenager, whatever, you see a little bit of Letitia in the whole, like just in those response. I don't remember. I don't know. Like there's sufficient answers, and that's just not. Yeah. So there, I knew she was lying. Like you could tell right off the bat, just her not answering that question about that situation. She was lying. Others.
Lying by omission then is kind of where I've kind of come to with all of that. Not lying, like straight out lying, like yes and no, but like definitely I felt like she was very heartfelt, and I felt like she was very honest, except I don't even know if it was like lying to herself almost. It was like a weird, there was a ton of I don't knows. I was like, that's a lot to I don't know. But she's also was 17 and now she's 20. And it's also, that's a lot of trauma at 17. It's a lot of trauma for anybody.
It's hard.
I couldn't weigh all these things, but I'm like, I feel like there was just like, she just decided in November that her mom was guilty. That's a lot of time convincing yourself that your mom is innocent and washing away all those little thoughts of all the things that you thought might have made her guilty. Hi, Sleuth Mom. I feel for Harley. I absolutely felt. I always have felt for Harley. I have there's a soft spot for her. One, because of her age, and two, we learned a lot more about the dynamic between T and Harley, which is not surprising to me at all that Letitia was a narcissistic mom. Hi, Roxanne. Hi, Cinnamon Bear. I do believe Harley was abused by Letitia. I also I don't know if Harley's really fully accepted her role in how everything ended up. And I don't mean like she did anything to Gannon, and I don't think she had anything to do with anything like that. Being gaslit from the jump makes you doubt a lot, and it does. And so there's these weird points where I could tell that she was like, I don't know, because I don't know what I believe yet. Instead of
she's still torn.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I think her judgment now of her mother's guilt more comes from not so much that she looks at the facts and the evidence and sees the guilt. I think it's now that it's settled that she's never coming home. She's never going to be with her. She's now, in a sense, an orphan. I think when the aunt possibly cut her off, because maybe the finances were just helping her get through. But once you're cut like that, especially financially, and young kids, you hit them with punishments and money, right? Because they can't do anything. I kind of think that once that started happening is when she actually realized, oh, wait, I don't have a dad. I don't have a mom. Who am I going to call now that I don't have Aunt so-and-so to go to? And then it maybe may have made her, start a GoFundMe that may have not been so appropriate, but she was young and lost. And
I don't, but the GoFundMe, when she says she lost her parents, as I saw the GoFundMe a while back when she made it. So I literally thought from the get-go that she was talking about Al. Al, and she lost her parents. She lost to them. And I know like they were like, you didn't lose her, she's alive. And it's like, no, I lost her. She did. She lost her home. She lost her family. She lost the only love that she had. She lost her whole being. She had to
every comfort of life.
Quit her job.
Yeah.
They wrote the fucking email for her at like 4:30 in the morning. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah,
think of all the backlash from this too. Like, think of the threats that she's probably been getting, or just things like that. You know what I mean? And we know she was okay with her mom up until a certain point because we could see the Mother's Day stuff. We could see all of that. But the kid was also 17, 18, 19 at the time. Now she's 20, about to be 21. Things change. She's maturing, you know, and then literally having to get through life now, like literally living on her own in every which way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she probably did a bunch of things that probably just didn't make sense because who's there to teach her? Who's there to teach her to go about life now?
T's her role model. So that's the other part that's concerning and why I feel like there might be some bits that are not fully honest. And when I say that, I do not feel that Harley has information that would change anything when it comes to the outcome of what's happening here. I do not believe that. And I do not believe that she was a willing participant in what her mom did. It's almost like somebody said in chat, like, you know, she's trying to kind of cover all those things that she thought, like, you know, did I smell that? Well, no, I don't want to have smelled that. You're asking me if I smelled my brother's dead body, and I don't want to have smelled that. So the answer is no, because I don't want to ever remember anything like that, even if it did happen or if it didn't. So things like that. But I also, because she's young and she was raised by a very manipulative mom, and if she's just learning to know that and accept it, she hasn't looked for those traits in herself yet.
Exactly. Or weed through them or know that she's doing it or any of that. You know, I'm going to assume manipulation probably comes out of her like it's nothing. She comes off like a very sweet, very undertone type of young girl. She's very scared. Her mother's way more confident in her than Harley clearly is. But I mean, it's hard for me to even go back on Harley's past on you because I can't help but to just the last 2-3 years I can't help took such a toll on her that whether she was taught right from wrong or anything, I just see a lot of that just unraveling, her trying to figure out what was right and wrong in this situation. That's your mother. That was your little stepbrother. And when she sees that picture again, and man, I was crying my eyes out. Like,
so that's where I think that the honesty comes in, because I do believe that Harley does love Gannon and loved Lena and loved Al, and that was her dad. And she refers to him before they ever get to the GoFundMe part. She talks about my parents, and she keeps, like, she refers to them as parents, and you can tell that her parents are Al and Tisha. Like, that's who her parents are.
She looks over at Al and smiles. She even looks over at Landon and smiles. You could see she doesn't hold all that nastiness inside of her like her mother does. She just doesn't.
I wonder if they have spoken anytime recently, which I don't have an answer for that. I don't know if anybody even does, but
I was thinking that. I'd like to think so.
I do. I watched that Sleuth Bomb. So that's another thing, is that, you know, because Gannon was put out into the snow on the 28th. He was picked up from that area on the 31st, and they do believe he would have been probably not completely frozen, because I mean, it's not like it was 0 degrees, but it would have been, I mean, he would have been pretty frozen. He would have been really cold.
Yeah.
Only other thing is so I actually was doing a little bit of research about the weather on the trip, and it was pretty cold. So I was like, okay, so it kind of brought me back to maybe Harley didn't smell, but then I was like, wait a minute. Harley said that her mom kept the air conditioner on, and I think it was the drive from Amarillo in Texas when they were still in Texas from one spot to another, and it was only like 20 degrees. And I was like, why weren't you questioning why your mom had the air conditioner on then? Because like my kids would be like, why is the air on when it's like we're freezing?
Yep.
So then I was like, okay, so yeah, you don't question the smell. Okay, but then you don't question why the air's on. But then I'm also like, okay, well, she doesn't question Tisha at all. So maybe that's the whole thing. Like, you don't question her, you get backhanded, which that would not surprise me at all either, that she gets backhanded. So I'm
Yeah.
like, but then she does say like that she did not get spanked, basically. I don't remember exactly how she says
She
it.
probably
Somebody
didn't have to.
said it.
She probably put enough intimidation onto the kid watching the crazy shit that she's done that Harley's like, yeah, I've watched it enough. I don't need you to actually do it to me to get it. Look, when
he was probably already out in the garage. You're right about that. I get that part, but then there's things that I'm still like, okay, there's ways that you still would have been questioning what was going down, even in your own mind, like what was going down.
well, Gannon's
Who said that
clearly
she didn't
missing.
ask her mom? Well, they asked her. She says she didn't ask her mom, that she didn't ask her any questions about any of this.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the thing. I don't know we don't know if she really did or didn't. And I'm wondering if those are kind of the pieces that are kind of getting left out. But like I said, ultimately in the end, I don't feel like anything that Harley would have kind of kept closer to, like maybe even kind of covered unintentionally. I don't feel like it has it doesn't change the outcome of whether she should have been charged. I don't think she should have been, which a week ago I was up in the air. I didn't really know.
How do you feel with the fact that she was actually, oh, can you hear me, T?
Yeah, go.
Yeah. How do you feel about the fact that she was actually supposed to be home that day and got called into work? Do you think if Letitia was
Well, that was the
plotting
26th.
Is it me?
You can't hear me? Am I frozen?
No, I can hear you, but it's
I can hear you just fine. It seemed like Harley liked to ask questions. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. But I'm like, ultimately, in the end, does it matter? I think more so. I think I want the information because I wanted more from Harley because I feel like she does know more. I feel like she may end up actually coming out at some point later in her life and saying more. But she's going to need a lot of therapy. Yeah. Not knowing what to do if she did have suspicions, even if she did question things and Letitia lied to her. Yeah. I think that she's going to have, and not just therapy from the trauma. I think therapy from being raised by such a manipulative, narcissistic mom.
She's going to have problems with relationships for the rest of her life because of this. Look what she's watched. Now she leaves questioning, did her mother kill her father, her real father? Right. She's questioning that. There's so many things that this kid especially seems like over the last year and a half, really, really like came out with. And it's been in here. It just finally hit her heart. And
yeah,
look, when she approaches the stand, you see she's so tiny. Her little ankles are shaking. She's holding on to that water bottle for dear life. She's petrified. Like she's petrified. And that, I'm sorry, that just, she should not even be in this situation. And then to know that you got the fence lined up to just, made me hate her that much more.
So there was weird things that she said that made me go back and forth. And I don't know if I'm not necessarily, I guess I'm more swayed one way, Marshall, because there's not something that I necessarily think that she said that made me go that, like to say, oh, well, I don't buy that she was completely honest and everything was just hunky dory. And she's just like, okay, we're just going to move around and we're going to go wherever we want to go. I don't believe that. Even if the questions were never said out loud, they had to have been said inside. There's something missing there. And if those questions weren't ever asked, even internally, then there's something kind of lacking there as well. Mm-hmm. That's my personal opinion. So to say like, what did she say that maybe I didn't really think she was 100% guilty. I just kind of waved that way. So now I'm kind of like back this way. Maybe the defense will bring something up later that makes me go, well, maybe we won't go back that way. Yeah. But I think it was just hearing her. And then at first I was like, okay, don't fall for the voice, because a lot of manipulative people have really nice voices. And that's one of the things that they are able to use as like a tool in their toolbox.
Well, they make themselves chameleons and they just adapt to whoever they're around. Right. They'll use their lingo, they'll use their ways. Mm-hmm. I was like, don't listen to her voice. I had to like tell myself, like, yeah, stop doing it. She's going to get you. No, I'm just joking. It's better than Letitia's though, for sure.
There was,
I'll take Harley's over Letitia.
I think it was the love that she had for her family and that it was gone. I did feel that she cried more for herself which was not unusual because she's 20 and she was 17 at the time. So I didn't find that too odd. There was one part that I was like, was when she was crying and then they asked her a question and she was not crying anymore.
Yeah.
It was like really quick to like change back to like kind of normal, but it wasn't a question about her. So then I was like,
It's
your
Letitia.
mind- that was a little T right there.
Voice
So that's why I think
changes.
she's gonna need therapy to not become, and obviously not a killer. I don't mean that she's gonna become a killer, but I mean that she's, you know,
Her tone and face change.
You're raised by a narcissist. There's a very good chance that you could become a narcissist.
Her tone and whatnot changes when she, just like her
Mhm.
mother, when she doesn't like the question or she doesn't like that, you know, her answer didn't work for that person. Like you see when the defense comes up, before he even asked her the first question, she went from sweet girl to, you saw that too right in her face. I said, oh, let's hear it come out of her mouth now. And it took a couple questions to get her there. And then the GoFundMe, she went from crying to.
She was mad about the GoFundMe. She did not
was
like him
pissed.
talking to her about that GoFundMe.
Mm-mm. And she had her explanation ready to go, which I mean,
Friends and family don't send you money necessarily in a GoFundMe. They just send it to your PayPal or your Cash App or Messenger. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not like, hey, Michelle, I heard you're in dire straits. You should start a GoFundMe and I'll send you money that way.
like, here's my website.
Nobody does that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So she was looking for money elsewhere, which, whatever, look for money elsewhere. What changed in November for Harley was that her mom chose to plead not guilty by reason of insanity. And when she came with that defense, it's an affirmative defense. So she's basically admitting that she did kill Gannon and that she was insane when she did it. And so to Harley's like, you're not insane. And you're saying that you did it, which means you just did it. And I don't buy that you're crazy. So now you've lied to me and I've defended you and I've stuck up for you and I've taken all the hits on the outside from the people who hate us.
And I have no one. I have no mother. Why would you do this knowing you're going to leave me this way?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think she was willing to testify, especially when she realized that she could be hit with accessory, but she didn't answer the most incriminating questions, in my opinion, for that reason. She was playing the role that if and when her mother ever do speak again, in her mind, she thinks she didn't answer those particular questions. Like, I guess the way they feel that the brother did.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a snitch thing. Yeah, it's a child should never have to go through that with their mother.
Well,
to worry about snitching. You know what I mean? Like, that's just crazy. You could see it. It's written all over her. It's written all over her. She would
it was
so
interesting
easily
though
answer
that
things.
she doesn't say that she loves her mom when she's asked, and they end up withdrawing the question.
Yeah, I think that was planned. That was part of it. For sure.
Let me put this back up here so you guys can see it.
And Letitia still has no emotion. As a matter of fact, she laughs more than she ever has on any given day. I was like kind of surprised. I thought Harley would get at her, but maybe that is her way of putting up her front. She's going to act like she's smiling and laughing, even though she's really not, to show Harley, like, you know, because I do feel like they have this combative attitude towards each other with mother, daughter, you know.
Well, I think they're two peas in a pod too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and they were basically alone because her and Letitia and Chance divorced in like, I think it was like 2011. I actually have their divorce documents somewhere. And then he died in 2014.
Yeah. Okay,
so that was the other thing I thought was really odd that she said was, how does she not know that her dad died of an overdose? And let me see, Commander Ender Turkey, I don't think I said hi to you when you came in. And hi, Parker. Hi, Charnel, Susanna. I know there's a whole bunch of people coming in. I missed everybody. My YouTube wife. Let's see. Did she give H the finger too? Okay, so many people think that she did. Other people think it was the index finger, and because of the way her hand was positioned, you couldn't you can't 100% see, which is why I think they didn't end up calling her out in court for it, because I don't think you can 100% tell. The other ones you can really tell.
Yeah.
And I was going to show you guys something.
I agree, Jamie. She's definitely petrified and scared to death of her mother. No doubt. But I do think, you know, prior to all of this, though, that outside of her mom being upset with her and worrying about punishments. I think she didn't worry too much or wasn't too afraid of her mom up until she maybe did something wrong or thought Letitia was going to lose her mind about something. Because I feel like Letitia was trying to definitely still be her friend, like have that type of relationship.
Yeah, which I think she liked the power.
Mm-hmm. And Letitia wants to be a teenager herself. So,
well, I think we got a lot of confirmation on the phone call, and I think it's the first one. It's the first or the second one from this morning, where Letitia's like she's talking about Landon,
oh yeah,
and she's like, "I fucking hate that bitch," or whatever she said. I was like, "Well, there's motive."
right there.
I did sleuth. I was watching you. I was just like 2 hours behind on your stream, so I wasn't commenting because nobody would have understood anything I said. So, but I was watching. Yeah, I saw her. No, I think she was absolutely abusive to Harley, even just verbally and emotionally. The fact that she literally wrote the email for Harley to quit her job, and Harley probably didn't know because she was like, I wasn't up at 4:30, and the message was sent at 4:30. And then she's like, she wrote the email, and then they're like, an email or a text message. She's like, shit, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Oh, like, she was so pissed. And then she was like talking about that, that he was sleeping with Landon. Like, I hope you and Landon enjoy the rest of your lives together.
She hated the thought of Landon being in that home with Al, like they were back together, like lost her whole mind. Amazing. Hey, Corey.
And she would not believe that Landon wasn't there.
I know.
Which is interesting because all over social media, everybody actually knew that she was in Texas. Landon was posting pictures with Aunt Veronica and Lena in Texas.
I think Letitia knew. I think Letitia was doing that to Al because, again, another part of her manipulation. So she could be like, no, let's not talk about Gannon. I'm going to focus on the fact that Landon's there when I know she's not. So I can keep running with this. Like those phone calls.
Just to divert to change the subject and make it about Landon instead of Gannon. Maybe. But she was like, what did he say? She said something about like that like she's just a druggie.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Who got her son Tuckin. I was like, Tuckin though?
Really? Try to treat her like no hero. She ain't no hero.
Yeah.
And then we did learn that that she actually sent Landon an email where she basically said to like fuck off, you're not a hero here. And I'm not quoting him, but that's like the gist of it. Like how my memory says. There was a picture I wanted to show you guys of Letitia, and I can't find it.
She told Al he like went against their marriage because he had people staying in the home to help out, and they were not of blood relation. So who was that?
Stupid.
I extra love on like phone call 3 or 4, the very, very last one, and she brings up the fact that she knows he's messing around with so and so, and he does not say no, I'm not, and he goes, okay, but that's not what we're talking about, and I'm not even there right now. So I was like, yes, Al.
He did not. He was just. I still do not know. And they said there's 16 calls total.
Lord, oh no.
And I was already giving him major props on for February 13th and 14th. And now we're on the 15th and so on. So I'm like, I don't know how you did this. I don't know how he sat there with her and just was like, yeah, Letitia, like we can talk about us. But she was like, the first part's about me, and then the second part will be about Gannon, and then the second part is still about her. And he's all, the first part or the second part is supposed to be about Gannon.
Yeah.
First part was about you.
Her real evil shines through when it comes to Al. Like Al really got to see the real, and the kids got to see that ugly side. Those phone calls are they're just terrible. She's so manipulative.
I don't know where it is. So
I think their relationship was like
over it.
Based off of a lot of like Al either playing stupid, being stupid, one or the other, and her so used to getting away with her shit. And then the phone calls also confirmed for me today that no doubt in that home, Al did let her discipline those kids to an extent. And the line, I think, was kind of explained today.
You do?
Because he didn't blink when she said, like, how did he, she said, well, people have accidents. It was an accident. He goes, yeah, well, accidents happen. I understand that. Da, 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 da. Like she knew what to press him about and what not to press him about. And then the fact that she was even willing to say to him, I have something to tell you, but it was an accident. What? So that means you knew you've taken him places before. You've tested Al's anger, his emotions, what will bring him there versus, what didn't. I don't think she expect to kill Gannon. But in doing that, she kind of tested her own, how do I want to put this? She knew she clearly crossed her own line, but like they've had these moments in that house before where he's either had to correct her or she's gotten away with a certain form of discipline with his kids. No doubt.
Yeah, I think because she was raising them and he wasn't really there. So she had to be the disciplinarian. But I did find it interesting when Harley was asked if Gannon was treated different. She said no. She didn't see it that way. She didn't see that Gannon was treated different. And I thought for sure that answer was going to be yes.
Yeah. She was not going to answer those specific, like anything that was going to specifically line her up with Gannon, whether it be that night through that road trip or like something, I guess, like that. I don't think she was going to say, even if, because I do believe Gannon was treated differently. I don't think Al would have said it if not. He would have made it a point to say, well, Lena was too. He didn't. He said Gannon.
I don't know, because there was always that rumor that she had hit Lena before. So maybe they all were just confused, and
understand.
That's just how it was.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember this press conference, and she even said, she's like, you're on TV, like hugging it up with her, like, oh, you're hugging her. And he's like, yeah, she's the mother of my child. And he said, you let her into our home. I'm like, the message actually, she asked you if it's okay, and you say yes. Let's make sure it's okay with Al. Like she said it's okay, and that she'll pick her up from the airport.
Yeah.
You might have to listen to pick up some of these gems. And I think that the other issue with them playing so many of them back to back is that I get lost and I don't remember which one was what, I start to kind of fade away. Like, did she say something important? Did she just catch herself in a lie? Did we just catch her in a lie? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe somebody who has a lot more patience than me is going to like sit down and go through and like count the lies. I'm not. You're not going to get that here because I can't do that. She just drives me.
Exactly, Ashley. It's always all about her. Yeah. It shines through in these calls, man. It's very easy to
I'll be right back.
Rip her apart for these, for sure. Yes, she will gas. She's a gaslighting lover for sure. I think Letitia has managed to somehow get through her entire life with her manipulation, and whether it had been Chance or Al or whoever, Harley was always going to be, Harley was always meant to be her little scapegoat, whether it be for her emotions, whether it be for some of the crazy stuff that she does in life. And, you can see that she liked to confide in Harley and tell Harley a lot of things, because you could tell that just by, she would send screenshots to Harley's phone with the arguments between her and Al.
Yeah, what was that about?
So
why in the heck are you? I always feel really bad. Like my husband and I even get in like a tiff, and one of the kids is around, and they just like look at me, and they're like, the two older ones are basically teenagers, and they just look at me like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "Dang it! I don't like to have any time. I would never send my children text message fights between my husband and I. Like that's crazy to me."
And then even
she needed to make sure Harley was going to choose her side.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, one thing sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but one thing she does is she sells the story to Harley. A lot of the messages that we saw come out, we didn't know. A lot of people assumed they were to Al. The one about the do worry or whatever it was, the one that's like she has the typo and it's like don't worry. Most people thought that was to Al. The photo of the candle that we've seen, I don't know how many times I show it on here constantly. That was sent to Harley. And it's like she sells the story to Harley to make sure that she constantly is going to have, when the fight does happen, she's going to have somebody who's going to take her side no matter what.
Because she has to be right. Just like even pulling Harley in the physical arguments, like when Harley's actually there in the home. Like she doesn't just do this over text. She does it while Harley's home. That's already very uncomfortable, that being her stepfather. And then she knows about an argument that she shouldn't, because she already has to hear it. And then her mother brings her down, because that's the way Harley explains it. She would bring her down into the argument and then have Harley pick a side or give her opinion. And like you said, it would always be Letitia's. It's always going to be her side.
Right. Because if they do go and decide to talk to Harley, because she's the closest to being an adult, she's already sold. She's already
Yeah.
been sold the story, so she already has a preconceived notion. That's one of the things they always say is like the person. When I was in management, they were like the person who comes and tells you the story first is typically the one that's lying.
Pretty much, yeah. It's the ones that drop it first.
Hi, Mrs. Troy. Hi, Dynamite. Hi, Yorkie.
Dynamite Ellie.
Yeah, it's always about. I think she hates both kids. I think she drugged them with the hydrocodone so they wouldn't wake up if she successfully burned the house down. You don't think she actually took Lena? I wondered if she did really take Lena out. And nobody's proved that she actually left the house that night. I have not heard anything from all these rings and all these security cameras from the neighbors that she ever actually left the house that night.
Nope.
So I think that'll be interesting if that ever does come up, because I don't think that she did. I think she was emotionally and occasionally physically to all of them. I think Al may have not have known, but had a hunch. I agree.
Yeah. He dealt with her more than anybody.
I think he did not die from being drugged, so she tried to build a funeral with beds pushed together and cardboard boxes, and when that didn't work, she attacked him. Do you think that she was going to light the room on fire, maybe?
I don't know.
I think that might have been the first thing. The other thing that I caught with Harley's testimony is the fake self-unaliving, where she's like, come and sit down and have dinner with me. It's going to be our last supper or whatever. And then Harley's like, what do you mean? What's going on? And then they just sit down and have dinner and it's never talked about again.
Mm-hmm.
When she asks Harley to go down to say goodnight to Gannon, I think that she's telling her to say goodbye to him.
Yeah.
Say goodbye to Gannon.
These were all that stuff. I feel like telling Harley to go down and say goodnight. It would be so that Harley would have to say, yeah, I was in Gannon's room that night. Everything Letitia did, she made sure to make sure that Harley either had her hands on it, was in on it, was near it, by it, said it, put her spit on it.
She wasn't going to be she was never going to be alone.
Yep.
Harley was her person that she made it so she was never going to be alone. Yep. I've had friends who had kids to have that so they weren't by themselves and that they had somebody that loved them. It's kind of interesting. And this is true. I've learned a lot, but I've also in some cases there's an age of abuse. So the children all get abused at a specific age. So I'm wondering if that seems to be something that's here, or if it really just is. She just lost her ever-loving mind, and obviously she is desperate to be with Al. She is desperate that he is not going to leave her. You can hear it in all these phone calls because it's all about her and how much Al loves her and how much she loves Al and how they're supposed to be together and blah, 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 blah. If she had hurt Gannon on Sunday night, which I believe she severely hurt Gannon Sunday night, Al was never going to forgive her. Oh, no. And she knew she was going to lose him, and I think that's why everything happened.
And she knew she just couldn't tell Al any old thing because she's went there before. It finally hit its, and it made Al uncomfortable at one time before. And it was said that something was said to her about it. And that's where her line was drawn. And that's where I think that totally pissed her off. How dare you give me that line here? Now I find out you're cheating on me, but I'm taking care of your kids while you're away. And I also think with Harley being somewhat of her confidant in the house, and this is just as the dynamic in the home. I'm not saying anything outside or anything, but just inside the home. I think Gannon watching that naturally with his dad being away more of the time than clearly Letitia and spending more time with Letitia, he probably naturally automatically just wanted to pick up for his dad, especially watching Harley kind of take her side. So in return, probably when Al was there and these arguments were going down, Gannon probably got very, very close to his dad. And she would probably see the dad Al and Gannon talk. And when things would happen, she would see that Gannon would gravitate to him. And I think that pissed her off too, because Gannon was supposed to always want to gravitate to her because she does all the work. She takes care of them. And I think that made him a bigger target at being a boy. Naturally, he's going to side with his dad. He's a boy. He's a guy. He's going to understand it a little bit more.
Well, I also think that there's a bond between a father and a son that's different than a bond between a father and a daughter, and not to say one's better than the other, but they're just different. And that was the boy. And it would be interesting when they did talk about this, the fact that she was pregnant with twins, if they had talked at all about, oh, I hope it's boys, or, I'd love to have another son, or, because she had Harley, she might be like, I would love to have a little boy, like something of her own that had to do with that. And then there was some animosity towards him, possibly. Let me say hi, Allie. Hi, Karen. Karen, you were already here. I don't know why I'm saying. See, I told you I'm going to do this. Hi, Carol. Hi, Butterfly Kisses. Hi,
Right.
Cement Shoes. Betty Joe D.
Oh, hey,
Mrs.
Cinnamon
Troy, I don't know if I
Shoes.
said hi to you. I might have. I'm telling you, my brain's all over. Hi, Mama Stone.
This is Troy.
Mrs. Troy.
And yes, Luce.
Candlestick in the library.
Why was that sock found in the candle?
I'm not sure it was a sock. But I mean, if it was, okay, so I was doing this whole, putting this whole thing together about this flipping candle, because you guys know it drives me insane. If it was a sock or something like a sock, is because that's what she used as an igniter. Because as we've talked about since we saw the candle pick to begin with, candles typically, if they're knocked over, they get put out, right? So it would have been like light the sock on fire and use it on the ground. Hold on, I'm going to go back over and find this picture so I can show you guys kind of what I'm thinking. Because I think whatever it was is what she used for this fire.
T, you had me completely stuck the other day when you went through all this. I was like, oh my goodness, she sure.
With the carpets?
Yeah, it was the way you had the pictures lined up. It just showed it perfectly. Like it was like boom, visual.
I feel like there's that second piece of carpet, but nobody in court has said that. And so I'm like, am I just totally off?
Well, maybe not yet. Maybe not yet. Maybe there's something.
Was it tested for like gas or alcohol? I don't think so. I mean, that cop didn't do anything. He was like, yeah, it looks like a sock, but I don't know. Wait, I mean, there's so many people left to hear from, so the sock would have been a boggle wick. I don't know what a boggle wick is, but I'm going to go with wick, and I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah.
Does Harley have any family or anyone left, really? Well, she technically has family, but I don't know. I'd be interested to know about like Dakota, and is Dakota still talking to her? Because Dakota believes that she's guilty.
Yeah.
And when they tried to push that Aunt Brenda like cut her off financially because she came and testified or gave the proffer statement about Letitia, they tried to say like Aunt Brenda cut her off because of that. But when Harley was asked, she says it was because they couldn't agree on insurance and stuff. Like they were fighting over all kinds of things.
I think Harley's, I do think a piece of what Letitia had said or told her attorneys about Harley is true. You know, I think maybe Aunt Brenda experienced a little bit of that and maybe got some of Harley's attitude in some ways and things like that and said, listen, I'm helping already. I'm barely doing what I'm doing, but you know what? Now I'm done. And I think that's when Harley says, because first she tries to almost make it like it's because she testified. And then she like backtracks that a little bit. It goes into the disagreements that they had about like insurance, her finances, things like that.
I wonder if I have the picture of the board. I think I do. I gotta find the picture of the board because it's like perfectly matched up. It's perfectly like that board is exactly the board that they found out there, and I never knew that at all. So that was like super crazy to me.
Yeah, I agree. Gravity. They're going to be our family. They should stick by her no matter what. Harley meaning.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's why I'm like, is there another issue? Is there a different type of fight? Like, was there an issue about paying it? I don't know, and like we don't know Harley, and that's the other thing. It's like Harley has never talked. She's never been real public, besides with her, quote unquote social media account where she, wants to be like an influencer, which is not the same as actually having a conversation with her or somebody talking to her. So does she? Oh, here it is. I do have it.
Yes, Luce. That's been ringing all day.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to try to pull it up real quick.
Susanna, I've seen a few people actually mention that too. So, I mean, I'm not sure, and I would like to think no, but who knows in this case. And
let me see if I can grab it real quick.
We needed like a day or two to, at least for me, I know I did, to get Harley like out of my feels for a second so I can actually make some rational, like, because I just felt so bad in the beginning. Well, for that day.
Okay. You guys can see that. So it's got the exact same cut on the corner, the exact same discoloration right here across that top piece. It's the same discoloration. Can you guys see that? I know it's really hard to see in the pictures. What do you think about the baseball bat being brought up? Well, I thought that was really interesting, C-Dub, since we had talked before about the softball stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Did she actually hit him with the softball bat or a baseball bat? I don't know. These are the kind of things, though, I don't feel like we'll ever actually get the right answer. We'll never get the true answer to. Those are like the ones that are gonna like just haunt us forever. Hi, Allie.
Oh, Allie, good night,
You
babe.
come from a
Hope your
really
head
rough
feels
place
better.
with a reputation for sure. Yeah, the problem I have with the family is I'm not sure that they even want to be connected to each other. It's kind of weird. But there's like step siblings and like half siblings.
Yeah.
I don't know why she wouldn't. She's like with her mom's friend, or her friend's mom, or mom's friend.
Yeah. Hey, Molson man. Hey, on the
Hi,
rocks and in the soil.
Molson. It'd be hard for her to break the cycle of a learned behavior. Yeah, this is why I'm like, she's going to need a lot of therapy, and not just because of this trauma, but because of how she was even raised and genetics in general. I think she planned unaliving him, or at least had the thought of it when she thought Al was going to leave her. So she unalived him, thinking it would bring them closer or get back at him if he left. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like that it might bond them. Because she tries to act like she doesn't understand why this isn't bonding them, like on the calls.
Oh, yeah. Like, because he's supposed to be defending her right now, and then they can come together and really figure out what actually happened. But as long as she's good first, they can worry about Gannon being wherever at that moment. The calls just say so much. I can go through every line of every one of those calls and just rip that apart.
Aww.
Good night, Allie.
Allie, you sicky? You still under the weather? The theory that Gannon never made it back to the house is false. Yeah, they show the video of him getting out of the car, the shadow, which I think that it was kind of 50-50 going into it. I mean, I thought that he had come home because the whole point was that the blood loss in his bedroom was so much that he would not have been able to survive it. That was the whole reason they ended up arresting her. They arrested her with no body. So one of the FBI agents was testifying today, like about something with we couldn't arrest her. I think she was asked by crossed by what's his name, Cook, that why didn't you guys just arrest her? And she's like, well, we didn't actually have proof that he was dead. But they do arrest her. They do arrest her before they have his body. So I don't know why she said that. Something tells me she attacked him in the garage and chased him into the house and disarmed the alarm. She was hyper-focused on that ADT system. So this would kind of fit the whole theory of, you remember the forensic guy? Oh, the forensic guy. I got to tell you guys about the forensic guy. Griff. Was it Tom Griffin? No, his name's not Tom. What was his name? Griffin.
I think so.
They call him Griff, is actually his nickname.
Oh, I called him the guy with the bald head. Oh,
no, his name's Griff. But what's his first name? It's not Tom. Is it Tom? Hold on. Tom Griffin. Yeah, it is Tom Griffin. So Tom Griffin works for, or is a partner with, the company. I'm going to show you guys. Or no, just tell me.
Oh, yeah, Tom Griffin, private forensic.
But do you know who he works for or works with? Who he's partners with?
Let me see here. I called him the guy. That's really bad.
Yeah, he would. Well, one, he talks very, very slow, which is very, very hard for me. And I think I ended up pausing Sleuth Mom so that I could go back and watch it like on 1.5 speed, because I was like, this guy, he talks way too, so it took too long to answer the questions.
I didn't write down though who he's with. He does specialize in bloodstain pattern analysis. We'll get that out. And I noted that Letitia was actually looking through the book of pictures as he was talking, like she was into this. Like she seems to be into the crime scene stuff. And I don't know if that's just to pay attention to something or she just is.
I think it fascinates her, one. She went to law school and stuff, so.
I can't.
So he works for a company, or I keep saying works for. He does not work for them. He is partners with a company called Bevel, Gardner and Associates. Does that ring a bell to anybody here?
Hey, Chris.
Hi, Chris. So Bevel, Gardner and Associates. His name is what's his? I think he's a Tom too. Tom Bevel is the forensic expert that the prosecution hired in the Murdoch trial.
Mm.
He is the expert that wrote the report that said that the shirt had blood spatter on it that ultimately could not be used in the trial because the expert was wrong. And it's what they used at the grand jury to get an indictment to arrest Alec Murdoch. But the shirt was not used in the actual trial because it was bad forensics.
Hey, Kaleido. Hey, Miss K. Cat Pool.
Kaleido. She's going to apply for the FBI. I do believe they do talk about that she was interrogated. I don't think they got to that today, though, did they?
No.
The lady right before the FBI agent who was on the phone, Amber Cronin, or something like that, she talks about that she saw Letitia walking down the hallway after she was being questioned by the next guy, Gusling or Grusling or.
Yeah. And I think she said she was there for the arrest, but they didn't, like, there was no communication. There was no talk prior or anything like that, like when they grabbed her.
The phone thrower guy? No, not that expert. That guy costs a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Dolly Bear. No, the one who originally tested the shirt. So the prosecution had contacted him to test the blood spatter on the shirt. They said it was high velocity blood spatter. That's what they took to the grand jury to get their indictment and got Alec arrested. And then because it came out later, it was not blood spatter, that they could not end up using the shirt. So he does say, he has the prosecution send him the shirt. Like, he wants to physically see it because he's doing a lot of things off of pictures. And he actually wants to see it. And he says that you can't actually test anything because the shirt was basically destroyed by how they had treated it. So he would not be able to testify that in a court of law that it was actually high velocity blood spatter. So, welcome, Grandma Bunny.
Oh, thank you, Grandma Bunny. Remember?
How much later was she arrested in South Carolina? A while, right? Was the blue blanket in her luggage a trophy if she kept it that long? Okay, so let's talk about this blue blanket.
Okay.
We have not heard yet that it actually was blood, and we have not heard that it was Gannon's blood, right? We don't know that yet. Nobody testified to that as far as I remember. So would she take the blanket? And that blue blanket, is it the blue blanket from the picture? Let me pull that picture back up so I can see.
Hey, CDT. How are you, babe? CDT actually has been doing recap lives, I believe, almost every morning or every other morning, covering Letitia's trial as well. So if you guys want to check her out, that's one of my other favorites in the morning.
Okay, hold on. I'm pulling up a picture of. Let me see if that blue blanket is the blue blanket from that candle picture.
The blue.
It's hard to tell because of the lighting. Is it this blue blanket right here? Because they take a picture of this one and they take a picture of this one after the burns, right?
Yep. It's when you see it laid out, you get to see how different and that's where I got tripped up at. Because seeing this one, your color looks way better than some like other pictures that showed this color. And then when they lay it out, it looks a little bit lighter, of like a almost like a teal, at least from what I saw.
I'm looking for it. Hold on.
There was something on that. Hold on, there was something else about that blanket too.
No, I haven't, because I was just looking at it a second ago. I think their lighting is really bad.
Yeah. And I think on the one day of picture taking, one of the crime scene guys, the lens of the camera or something
That was that was at the house.
oh, that was at the house. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I liked him too. He was awesome. He was so happy
He
to be
was
there.
so happy to testify. It was kind of interesting.
It was cute. It was cute. I'll take it.
Okay, so is that it could be and just be totally different lighting. Come on, move. It could be that blanket. I mean, it is a solid blue. That one's a solid blue.
Mm-hmm.
That one is right here, and they don't actually, which would also make sense. It would go along with the fact that maybe it had too much blood, so she had to get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was way lighter blue, right? I know, but is it just the lighting, or is it?
I think it's the lighting, and I definitely think that's that blanket. It carries more that dark teal look, because look at the white and the blue blanket right next to it. That's a blue, you know. That's like a dark teal almost, but when it comes out on the screen, it looks almost like an aqua almost. Like,
Yeah, let me see. But see, this is like navy blue in this picture.
Oh, wait a second.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know, Tay.
This one right here that's on Gannon could be. This is a different day. This is not from right then, so this could be a totally different blanket. But it's just interesting that it looks very much. She didn't get rid of it. No, she didn't get rid of it.
Is that the one that ended up in Harley's room, or was that the other one? There was two, right?
No, they found a comforter and a sheet in Harley's room. This is the one that was taken out of the suitcase when they arrested her on March 2nd.
That was like all her. I think they were trying to push this too. That, you know, she definitely used her Hardin last name, and she had IDs and passports and everything with her Hardin last name and with her Stauch last name, but that was it. I don't know if that was going to come in later or not, but for some reason when they talked about this blanket, they threw that in too.
Yeah, CDT. This is the picture. I always thought she sent it to Al, but she actually sent it to Harley. Maybe she might have sent it to Al too, but I thought it was to Al. This picture right here. This is what she sent to Harley. And I'm telling you, this is fake carpet. Not fake, but this is not the carpet. The carpet that was there had blood. And that's probably why this blanket has so much blood.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's a trophy to me. Maybe she was going to use it to like mail to Al and be like, see, they sent me this, or like take pictures of it and be like, they sent me this. This is Gannon's blanket, you know, because they were asking for ransom and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Or she was going to use that, since it was in the suitcase already, she was going to use that to drop somewhere else to throw off more clues or throw off more tracking or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Locating, whatnot. Sorry, guys.
She makes everything a cluster. Well, I think that's to confuse. He was on his phone giggling. I didn't see that. I saw him just throwing his head up like, oh, I'm so over this. Hi, Erez. I hope you're doing well. She is not intelligent, in my opinion. She is a speed thinker, master manipulator with some serious mental and relationship problems. In my opinion, she's not as smart as a lot think. Well, I think that people think she's smart because she only likes to be in a room full of people that she's smarter than. So it makes her feel very smart, which is not surprising that she does like to be around, you know, probably enjoyed being a teacher or something along those lines, because then she could be the most intelligent person in the room. She doesn't have friends. She doesn't have any friends. The only people who really came to her defense was the babysitter, who just doesn't think that she could do it. But I don't know if they were technically friends. I don't know how far their relationship actually went. The Connor's mom didn't really seem to care much for her. And then the only people who came to her defense were Amy and Juju, her stepsisters. It looks like he's laying that blanket. He's laying that blanket that was found in the suitcase with T. You think so? I think I already did that one.
Sorry, guys. My dogs are just insane.
I think that's why she put Gannon in Florida, to get Jose Baez. Well, he was licensed in Colorado, so she could have got him, but she never even contacted him, even though she tells Alice that she talked to Baez. And do you know who he is? Do you know who he represented? And then he's all, no, Letitia, I don't know that kind of stuff. And she's like, really, like, well-known people, okay?
I don't know how he got through that. I don't at all. I don't know how he got
Ooh, maybe she would plant it by Landon's home. Tammy, that's a thought that I could go with.
I would never be surprised by her.
She did want him to walk down the street with a blanket, that he took the blanket. But I thought I think that was the one that was found in the suitcase with him that she wanted him to say.
Yeah.
Or wanted her to say was missing. Or had seen with. The one that had the stripes. Hi, Unravel.
Hey, Unravel.
You're right. You can't really try to follow the lies because you just end up being left with nothing. You're going to end up nowhere.
Lies were just too much. And just to do that to him. And I know she didn't care in that moment, but to watch that to listen to that. I don't know how he got through that and stayed on that phone just trying to wheel and deal with her. Like, too hard.
What did you guys think about? All she wanted to do was like get with Al. Like she wanted to hook up. And then even when he was like, we can have a meeting, and she's like a side chick. Like, no, he's thinking like a meeting where you guys talk face to face, that he'll actually meet with you. But he was like, you can do whatever you want to me.
And I still think,
tell me where my kid is, and you can do whatever you want to me. I was like, God, Al, I'm so
I
sorry.
still think that whole meetup with him was to either plant something, make sure his footprints were somewhere. Like, I think she was that, like, and she was so desperate at that point that even some of the phone calls, she starts to play like the flip game and starts to put it on him. You know what I mean? Like, because she knows, like, she's getting it at that point. I still think, like, whether she realized she couldn't do it anymore with Harley and was going to try and just muddy it up with Al and whoever, she was going to do it.
She said side piece of meat, and he was like, nope, I said to meet you. All right, let me see if my notes are, because there's a lot that I know I wanted to make sure, and I'm not covering notes on this one, so I don't want to miss any.
There was so much on this that.
Okay, so they took the passports, and I wanted to ask about the passports. And then, because the defense attorney comes up and he's really trying to get in there something about these cruises that you can get off on the different islands, and you don't actually have to, you know, like if you go to the Bahamas, you can go to all these different islands and you don't have to have a passport. I was trying to figure out what he was getting at, because she supposedly like traveled to, like, wasn't it like Saudi Arabia and Australia? Those are not like small little islands. So I don't get what he was getting at there. Did anybody understand that? Details.
I'm not sure about the whole island thing, but I do think that they were pushing the whole passport ID situation to show, like, in case defense brought it in later, like, oh, well, she does go by Letitia Hardin because, look, she uses this ID and this passport, even though she has one for Stauch. But that would be for Taylor, Jasmine, and all those characters. I think the prosecution wanted to get that out while they were already kind of like on that subject, I guess. Because I don't get what the island visiting different places would have to do with her passport.
Wait, so is that what's going to happen then? Are they going to say that she didn't use those passports because she has a different passport for Jasmine, or for Christine, or for, I don't remember all of them now.
Oh my God, you got Taylor, Jasmine, you name it. But I think that's what they were going to push. Like, no, she doesn't go by all these different people, but she does. Yes. Before defense says, yes, she does have two identities, but it's not, it's her maiden name and it's her married name. And yeah, she does have two IDs and two whatevers.
If they had asked, like, do they check a passport if you land by magic carpet? Like, I would have died.
I think she thought she was going to get on that magic carpet too. Do you think she was going to go to Mexico? I think that's where she was. I think she was going to leave Harley behind and go to Mexico with Gavin. I even think she might have. I think she even had thoughts of going back and getting him.
Yeah, but I don't know why they were asking about the islands and like why that was important. And then even the judge was like, he said he doesn't know anything about cruises. He doesn't know anything about cruises.
He was
And
like,
he's
"I'm sorry, sir. I've never been on a cruise
"Then
before."
You don't know about those islands, then?
Mhm. Judge is like, he's never been to an island. What do you want to? I mean, he's never been on a cruise. What do you want him to
Never
do?
on a cruise. Doesn't know anything about cruises. Leave the guy alone. Oh, so let me back up because one of the things I wanted to talk about was the blood spatter guy from Bevel and Gardner and Associates. He talks about, and I was going to go back and listen to it today, and I honestly just didn't have time. So it's actually much better. I'll get your guys' thoughts on my thoughts too. He talks about the blood spatter in Gannon's room and how the bed would have had to have been, or where like Gannon would have had to have been during the time that some of this was actually happening. Did you guys all see that?
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull some of this up.
And as you're trying to digest all the information, it's like it puts that picture back into your head of Gannon and what happened to him. And it's almost like you're trying to relive what they're giving you. And it's just, look at that.
Hi, Thistle. Amy's all, I don't blame him. I hate cruises. I've only been on one cruise. I was 5, and ironically, it was to the Bahamas.
I can't do cruises at all. Thistle.
So did you guys have like some thoughts on it? Seemed to me, and this is why and please do not take this as far as you could throw it, because I really don't know. And like I said, I was going to go back and listen, but I haven't had a chance to yet. Did you guys take it that Gannon had to be on the floor by the wall for the blood spatter to get where it had gotten to on there? On the wall? Did you guys understand that? Or is that just, was I losing my mind? So all these little black specks are arrows that point to small amounts of blood spatter. What you guys see here in this, right, in like this, in this whole thing right here, this happens, and you can typically tell, like, see this, like right here, this is brighter, this is brighter, this is brighter. Some of it's brighter than other spots. This is the washing. So this is diluted blood. You see, like you have to, as you're washing it, you're moving blood from here over to here, so it actually looks like this. But most of this is not. This is not actually where blood landed necessarily, if that makes sense.
It was in the vicinity, but doesn't mean it actually physically landed there.
So it was so he had to have been like hiding. So one of the things that happened was that Landon and Al said that Gannon's bed was always away from the wall. But it was only a couple inches, and I wonder if I have that.
That's actually what kind of, like, on the phone call, Al's like triggered by that. He was like, he actually like finally raises his voice to her, and I think it was like on one of the of today, the first call or the second call. And you could see that just like punctured him. It was like the second that was said to him, he was like, Letitia, when do we ever separate the beds? When do we never, like, it stuck right out to him.
But she says she pushes the beds together. So is she saying that she pushes the beds together in the middle of the room, or she pushes one closer to the other? Because I didn't understand that today either. She
made it like, well, because she told him he could have a sleepover. So she pushed the beds together. So I took it like, literally together up against the wall.
Like he ended up between the bed and the wall, and she threw the bed out of the way to get to him. But I could be wrong. So, okay, that's kind of what I was picturing. Is that he crawls in, so the bed goes this way, it's long ways this way. So like he crawls in this little space that's in between there. And everybody has said he was very little. Like obviously he wasn't very big.
Tiny.
So did he crawl over there?
Or
and then she comes around and like gets him over here?
If the bed's that easy to move back and forth, do you think he could have fell down that way as she's maybe pounding on him and he kind of like slips through down there and his weight moves the bed a little bit too? And then he really ends up in that corner?
See, yeah, this is kind of what I was thinking. Like he's stuck in there, or he's hiding in there
yeah, because look, T, it goes up this way, up around that way, and it splats a little bit more. Well, no, it actually
Well,
splats.
the blood spatter that's down here, and somebody had asked me this, like how was their blood spatter like down here, and I always thought that maybe he was just laying closer to this side of his bed, because then at a downward angle it could go down. You know what I mean? And then she pushes the bed up against the wall. But now I'm wondering, and that's why I needed to go back and listen, because I wasn't 100% sure if he was like how adamant that he was that Gannon had to be on the ground.
He does say that there was two, what was it, forceful or impactful events that happened in that spot.
He was. I know. I thought about this too, and I was like, if I think too much about that, I'll end up crying. So I can't think too much about how he was right then. I can't.
That's it, C-Dub. That was like one of the best testimonies so far.
See, there you go. I remember the questions. I just don't necessarily remember who answered or who asked them all the time. The blood indicated a minimum of 2 events. I did hear him say that, and that he would not say a maximum amount, or like it could have been like 18 or whatever. You know, even when Michael Allen came back up and was like asking him like, what could it have been this, and he's like, I can't answer that. I thought that was good because he couldn't answer that.
He also wouldn't admit to something else. I just can't find my notes. He wouldn't answer. It was like, it's the second to the last question for some reason. I remember before he was for the defense. I can't find my notes.
I keep the bed away from the wall in general because I would be scared my kid would get stuck and suffocate. I don't know. Nobody ever asked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids' beds are up against walls.
Yeah.
They're not like a little bit away from the wall. They're just up against the wall.
Yep.
The big spot under the window is so far over from the bed and the angle. Over here? Well, that's why I think that part of it was over here. But I mean, you got to remember, she supposedly, at this point, downstairs, according to the prosecution, is that she stabbed him 18 times. She shot 3 times, hitting him once, and 4 times of blunt force trauma to the head. I still am concerned that I think that there's something that happened the night before with blunt force trauma to the head. And even Al starts talking about it today in those calls. And he's like, when he's talking about if Gannon was sluggish when he went to the car, that he already had a head injury.
Oh, and then when she mentions about him, like maybe the blood came from like his butt and whatnot, that was just terrible.
Oh my God.
He's a terrible
Oh
person.
my God. I couldn't.
This poor little boy.
She's something else.
Yes, she is. It's crazy because we can look at this Stauch trial and then look at it again, and I just cannot even envision what happened to this little guy.
Tammy, this is kind of what I think too. I think that there's some type of head wound. There's something that happened on Sunday night in that lower family room, and that it caused a lot of blood loss. I don't know what though. And this is the thing is, they keep saying that the blunt force trauma all happens during this time. And I'm not 100%, I don't agree with it. So I'm thinking like, we're never going to get that answer because the prosecution's theory is that it happens in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm just worried about my burns. I wonder how no one heard a gunshot or did someone and I missed it. Nobody has talked about hearing a gunshot, but this is also the basement, so I don't know. And also, it was during the day. I don't know how many of her neighbors would have even been home.
I feel like though she tries to almost prep Al for that though on the call. Like she tries to, like she eventually gets to like, oh, well, you know, I heard Gannon yelling and I heard him screaming. So, you know, I don't know how neighbors didn't hear this stuff. Like I was almost waiting for her to go in about a gunshot or something. Like she sets up so many different scenarios during these calls. It's just insane.
I hate her.
I hate her too. Yeah. like pure hatred for this
Yeah,
woman.
I can hear it. It's like I'm telling you guys, it's like I literally have like an unhealthy hatred for this woman.
Mhm. I swear, Trey, I go to bed physically pissed, like just having, like coming off. Like I need an hour or so before I even go to bed. And then even after that, you're trying to put all of everything that you heard today back into those little puzzle pieces to make it make sense, because we still don't have everything. And it's just, oh my God, she just gets more unimaginable as it goes. Like this boy had zero chance with her. And like what in her mind was going to be after this? She was just going to run off into the sunset with Al, Lena, and Harley. Like, I don't know what she thought with all the lies and all the misdirection and all the different whatever stories. What did she honestly think in her head, that she was going to really get away with this?
What if she had never left and stayed there?
Oh, the evidence tampering, the misdirection or leading of all of that would have just gotten worse. It would have gotten worse. And then she would have made it a point to have a big blow up with Landon in the home. And then that would have taken a good portion of the attention from Gannon onto that mess. And then because she would want eyes on Landon, so she would make a big thing. She'd go after Landon saying, you did this. It would be something. She would, pull a little Letitia. I agree. He still fought for his life. For sure.
Yeah, that's what Mrs. K. Or Miss K. That's what I was wondering. Like, did he hide in there? I don't know. Like I said, these are probably the things that we're never going to actually have answers to, and they're probably going to be the ones that bother me the most.
Oh wait, I think it was the question when the defense says, "You do know that there were bullet casings found in Gannon's pillowcase or something like that." He says, and he says, "No, he didn't see any of that."
What'd you think about her calling it a crime scene all day?
Mm-hmm. Look at all the words that she uses. She's worrying about contaminating a crime scene. She's worried about trial. She's worried about people's witness statements and who saw her where, when. And I'm sure they have this on camera. I'm sure they have that on camera. I don't know. She wasn't thinking about it.
Well, so the carpet was burned. The carpet was burned. I just think it's a separate piece of carpet. I think there's two pieces of carpet.
Yeah.
Well, technically three, because she cuts that one out. The blood one comes out. That one gets hidden in the in the storage room. She puts down a piece, and that's the one that she burns and pours the wax on.
Yes. I completely love you for that too, by the way.
Throws that one in the trash can, and she cuts out another one, and that's the one that she puts down that Landon has the pictures of. I'm going to try to put together a little mini video so I can just make it easy for you guys to see.
Okay, that would be good.
But like I said, they haven't said that in court, so I'm like, am I just jumping ahead?
Well, I mean, it's still a possibility. It's still another angle to be looked at. It caught all of our attention for sure, and it absolutely makes perfect sense.
Okay, what are our final thoughts on Letitia for now until we'll talk again on Saturday about lovely Letitia Stauch? Is there anything that we missed? Anything important that you think we should cover before we move on to West?
No, we talked
Because
about
there were some bombshells in West, and I want to make sure we get to them.
Yeah, no, I think we're good. Letitia always gets brought up some way, somehow. As long as we
Anybody
went over the
have
blood.
any final thoughts on Letitia? Hi, BG.
Hey, BG.
Mm-hmm. Aww.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know, CDT. I don't know. I don't know if they need Lena.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it pros and cons wise, is she important to this at this point? Unless she has a bombshell piece of information, I don't know if they need her.
I think even if they do, they would do. I don't think she would actually have to testify there. I think they would do it in a different way. I definitely don't. no doubt would think that they would argue that that baby would at minimum be petrified, having to sit across from that woman. And what would Lena be now? I don't even know.
She's 11.
She's 11 then. Well, maybe.
She's the same age that Gannon was when he was killed.
Oh, man. I mean, it would be great if she had some good information. I just think that putting her in front of Letitia to testify would be really hard on that kid. Like, way too much. Way too much. Harley's one thing, but.
Aww.
Oh.
So the last trial that I watched, that Zachariah Anderson trial, they put his daughter on the stand.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, Reese Jam, of course. I appreciate that. Thank you. I feel like she was too young and it's been too long. What they could do is put her on the stand to have her verify her interview that took place on what was the 29th or 30th.
Yep.
And then they could play that.
Yep.
And they don't need to do anything.
Yep. That would leave a lasting tug on the heart for the jurors for sure. But I listen, if you're going to have Harley up there, now that I think about it, you know what? Lena would have some information. She definitely saw things that others didn't. And where Harley wouldn't or didn't remember, maybe Lena would. Just certain things.
Yeah, she would be able to know if Gannon actually had an accident.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yep. I think Harley took a lot out of us this week, and then having the blood pattern dude was extra helpful for a lot of us.
And Brenda is on the witness list, and Brenda's on both prosecution and defense, I believe. And they call her Brenda Awkward, and her name's like Acquired.
Yeah,
they constantly call her Awkward, Brenda Awkward, and I love it.
That's right. Sleuths and CDT both said that. That's right, and they told Harley, Lena, and Letitia about the candle incident.
Roderick Drayton he's going to have to testify at some point. He's the one who has the video of them going back and forth. Or I guess maybe the cops could testify to that.
Yeah. He's
on the witness list though, so I would be curious because he may be able to talk about Al's reaction, but I don't know if that would even matter. He's on the witness list. I don't know. I'm absolutely intrigued by this trial though. I think they're doing a great job.
They are. It's amazing. It really is. And like legit big kudos to Michael Allen and his team because they're literally awesome.
Yeah, if Gannon had a stomach problem and Gannon had an accident at Garden of the Gods, why in the world would she go buy him Burger King?
Right.
Like, make that make sense.
And he can have a sleepover. He could do all the things that he wouldn't technically do on, to fit into her schedule or whatever. And all these things happen. But he was sick and he had an accident. Nothing adds up.
Okay. I need to see Landon on the stand, please. I've heard from the get-go that Landon is not testifying, so I don't know. It'll be interesting. Like I said, that it's pure rumor, so I have no idea. It'll be interesting if it does end up being right.
Yeah. I kind of thought maybe either I thought she was going to go second after Al, or maybe they're going to save her for last too. I don't know.
It should be a pretty good ending, but I don't know if I don't know.
Meet her. She wasn't around for anything actually, except for anything after.
But that's what they're using is a lot of the stuff from after.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Some of my gut tells me she's not testifying. Right. Yep. Exactly. Sleuth Mom. That's like really hard. And it'd be one thing if she had to, like she had some, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Oh, no doubt.
All right. Let's talk about the West trial.
All right. Our lovely West boys and the trial of Jacqueline and Trezell West.
Yeah, let me pull this down.
Bakersfield and Cal City.
Oh, so
what day you want to do, T? 9 or 10?
We have 9, 10, and 11 to do, right?
Okay. So
So we've talked a lot about on our trial updates about how slow on the uptake this trial really is.
Seriously.
We're going to get to day 9 and see if they're still pretty slow, except for today they started dropping some bombshells. But I need to get there first so that I don't miss something that leads up to the bombshells.
Well, because day 9 was kind of just, they pretty much, it was Detective Ryan for a good portion of the day.
And he was the one that was on the stand, the one that we've talked about that was doing the second interrogation, and they keep having or video issues, and they had to keep coming back and replaying it and bringing it back up. He's still on the stand at the beginning of day 9.
Yep.
I'm trying to think, is there still anything that even comes out of that that's important? Because it's really those interrogations are just him telling her basically the same thing over and over again.
Right.
She's going to lose her house. She's going to lose her car. She's going to lose her family. She's going to lose her friends. And it's Jacqueline saying, "Yeah, no, I'm good. Like, I'll be fine. Don't worry."
It's more Jacqueline's lawyer really hones in on this guy, and because he had made a few statements to Jacqueline that, like, she will be losing her house, she will be losing her other kids, and then he said, I'll be the first one to apologize if I'm wrong, and she kind of ends her cross with, "And you will be giving."
Oh, she said, "I'm going to hold you to it," is what she said.
Yes.
I was like, okay, that was a little bit of a drop right there. I was like, that was good. And she kind of irritates me because of her way she questions.
Yeah.
She's the attorney that I always talk about that does the like, "Michelle, so you were there that night, right?"
Yep.
And then you went over there, right?
That's part of her.
And then you wrote that down, yes? Like,
she does that though, T. She does that as part of her whole tactic. That's for her too. She answers the question basically for the witness.
mm-hmm.
And that already puts them in it throws them back for a second. So now either they have to agree with her, or then they have to change her yes, no, correct, or whatever to their actual answer. So now they're already in this tripped up position. And then she gives them a whole 2 seconds to answer. And if she doesn't even like their actual answer, she cuts them right off. I feel like that's her way of showing them. Like, she's a hard ass, man. And she's got a thing for law enforcement. Like, she's setting a tone with this trial that if I take on any case and law enforcement don't play right, I promise you I'm going to be all over it. She makes it a point to speak up more when she's speaking to law enforcement versus other people. I think she knows she's making a little name for herself out of this trial.
She's trying to. I don't know. I'm not overly a fan yet, but we'll see.
No, she didn't sell me yet neither. I just feel like you could just see through her. Doing her job.
See if I have any big notes. Do you remember that we talked about the Officer Hansen or Detective Hansen and how he apparently touched Jacqueline's leg during the interview?
Yes.
And so Ryan is asked about that on the cross. Detective Ryan's asked about that on the cross, and he says he was aware that he touched that Hansen had touched Jacqueline, and that was not part of the plan or anything, because he was part of Trezel's questioning too, and he was the good cop, and in Jacqueline's he's the bad cop. And that talk about how they had that plan kind of going in, and so she's like, was that part of the plan that he was going to touch her inappropriately? And he's like, no, I knew that he touched her, but I didn't. Nothing was planned. It wasn't like that.
And he does say, and this is where I was like, okay, he could have left this out because she didn't make him verify if it was appropriate or not. She spit it as if it was inappropriate, and then he goes, yes, it was inappropriate. Oh, no. Between the lack of reports, the lack of this, the lack of didn't grab that, I'm frustrated with law enforcement on this case.
It is frustrating. So, and what I've noticed though is they did start with all these the California city officers, and we talked before about this too, about how they don't have very many officers, and they're not equipped for anything of this magnitude at all. They're not. And in March of 2021, the boys were reported missing in December of 2020, and in March of 2021, Bakersfield Police Department actually takes over. And one of the things that we kind of knew but really learned more of this week is they were actually kind of running most of it from behind the scenes, starting off as soon as the boys testified, the other children testified, in their interview, stated that that they hadn't seen the boys,
Yeah.
since like September. Bakersfield really does step up. They're sending the people in to write the warrants. They're sending the people in to help with all the reports.
Yep.
Detective Ryan is from Bakersfield, so they're really starting to kind of take over. Maybe not officially because it's still in Cal City, but they do officially take over in March. And so you start to see the resources bumping up because they didn't have that with Cal City. So we saw just kind of a cluster of them, and then we saw the cluster of the switchover. Susanna, are they still wearing their masks? They probably wish they were. They probably wish they were.
Yep.
I just want to make sure I go over anything that on here that's like super important, because there were a few things that do come up. She tells him that there are the 2 mounds of dirt that are in their backyard. He asked her if the boys are buried there, and she says, if they're buried there, I didn't bury them there.
Mm-hmm.
Those become important because one of the next people that testifies is the dog handler.
And you remember the one neighbor that was by the Casaloma that gave AV that interview. I don't know if he's on the witness list or not. He said that whenever they would fight, the husband would run down here, and he at the time he lived at Casaloma, but he was on Wanda and Phil's street searching for the boys when AV actually got to him with the interview. So I'm like, oh, every time they fight, Trezell runs here. So maybe that's kind of, he did that on, whenever that had happened. And maybe that part she doesn't know, possibly. Because there were 3 neighbors of Wanda's that said it. And then the one guy, the Spanish man had said that, yeah, he was standing right outside, actually. He was 2 houses down from Wanda's. And he said, that's right, the husband takes off down here. And I think they had a big, they were looking on Hagen Street, which was only 2 blocks away from Wanda's house.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was like, that's not Cal City. Marshall, they were arrested in a motorhome. They were like,
off of the highway.
I say they were like taking off and under disguise. I'm sure they would disagree, but that's how I think about it.
Yep.
He had like a mustache.
Yep. Yep. They were in their little Winnebago thingamabobber. And they were leaving that site where they stayed that night or the night prior. And as soon as they were getting onto the highway, I think they grabbed them because they arrest them on the highway.
I think they were trying to take off, but that's my personal opinion. We haven't got to the people, like the officers who actually did the arrest yet. This timeline, I'm telling you, is taking off very slowly. And I know that they're doing I keep telling myself this is what they're doing anyway, that they're laying a ton of foundation and all that boring crap.
Yeah.
And then they're bringing it in. They're going to keep dropping. And we do see it keep coming up, like today, like I said, we're going to get there though. What about Trezell's mom? Is she helping them or unaware, do you think? Well, she says she helped them move into their apartment or their house in Cal City, but she hasn't testified yet.
And when she does,
I'm interested.
Yeah, Tay, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying. When you said when she does, I'm like, I'm interested.
Oh. when Miss Wanda does, I think we're going to get a little bit more clarification of the 19th and the 20th. I think originally she didn't cooperate as much, and now that she is, we're going to get an answer.
Well, I think she was the same as like any other of the moms that are like, no, they didn't do it. And then it's like, wait a minute, something's not right here.
Mm-hmm.
So Detective Ryan is asked, they go over the video from the 19th where you can see from the same side surveillance, you can see the 4 boys get in and Jacqueline and Trezell get into the car. We've talked about this video a few times. And so he's asked if he could tell if Trezell or Jacqueline is actually carrying a child. And he says he cannot tell. And I always wondered why we never saw the video of them coming home, because you would be able to probably see that there's no children coming out of the car, right?
Yeah.
So they actually do have that. They play that. And then he's asked, do you see if they're carrying a child? And he's like, no, I can't tell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, So he can't tell. So maybe they're carrying both of the kids is what they're trying to go with, is that on the 19th, Trezell and Jacqueline were carrying Oren and Orson, and the other 4 boys walked. And that's why we only see the 4 boys, which is just bullshit. But
Yeah. I'm like, there is no actual way, because you see Trezell. Like, okay, maybe they can maybe get away with Jackie holding a baby, and I still think that's a little far-fetched, but Trezell, no doubt, did not have a child on him at all. He had to climb through the passenger seat to get into his driver's seat. He didn't want to go around the other side to open up that door. He didn't have no baby at all. He was like blocking, if anything. That footage will forever bother me.
so on Cross, he's asked a lot of questions about these different videos and how many different videos he viewed before he was actually interrogating Jacqueline. And he's saying, like, I didn't watch anything. I went in with what I was told, and that's kind of what I did. Hi, Iowa, not a vampire. I liked lurking.
Yeah. Late like the
We
lurking. Love
basically
it.
just started West Iowa if you wanted to go from right now on, because then you can go back and do Stauch later if you want.
Yep.
Um,
You know what I didn't like about this when they were going? Am I jumping too far ahead, Tay, if I go talk about the van?
no, go ahead.
All right. What is
Or you
his
talking about the
name?
forensic guy from today?
It was Destiny Martinez, police lab technician.
No, you're good. That's the next guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, technically Jeffrey is the next guy, but he really doesn't do anything. He he didn't lift any fingerprints. He just goes and looks at stuff. He's the one who kind of he used the ground penetrating radar in the backyard and didn't find anything. So he testified next, and then it's Destiny Martinez, the lab tech. Go ahead with him.
Lab tech. Okay. So she takes photos of the scene first, of course, and basically she's there just to document the crime scene, and then she goes to take photos of the van. Takes photos inside, outside, the whole deal. And she testifies that they removed car seats, and that they're 1 second so I could say exactly how she said it. So the fluid used, and this is word for word, the fluid used to detect the presence of blood was applied in multiple areas, including bedrooms, bathrooms. Nothing was located until the second time of testing the van. And at that point, they swabbed the steering wheel and the car seats for DNA. And they're showing some of the photos that I could pick up on the audio. Give me 1 second. And they had found like 3 or 4 droppings of blood, but because it wasn't, they were looking for, I guess, bigger stains. They didn't test it. And I'm like,
wait, you're talking about the guy from today.
Yeah. Oh, no, wait, this is 9, right? Please don't
No, the guy from today is the one who does the blue star in the car. Or yesterday.
It says day 9.
No, it's today. 2 different people. So yes, they both worked on the van. This is the one that did Destiny Martinez is the one that took the car seats from the van.
Yeah.
And
she got the blankets.
Got the blankets, and then found the Superior Grocer receipt and the Dollar General receipt. Remember that one? And then also the one that took the diaper from the classroom.
Yep. Wait, where did I put that at?
So we can jump ahead to that because it goes together because they worked on it together. So
that's right. Her and Tammy Sullivan. I'm sorry, guys.
You're fine. No biggie.
I'll give the people.
Let me find where it is though.
It should be right after.
No, so it's Alfredo Bayaca. He's a criminalist, and he's the one that did all the blue star in the car, and they found presumptive positive for blood on small spots near the back of the van, and he said they didn't do anything with it.
Yeah,
they didn't test it or anything because he was told on his request for the van to look for like large pools of blood or some type of sign of foul play. So they found these tiny spots of presumptive positive blood, and they didn't do anything.
And it's just like, why? I want to know why.
I want to know why too. I mean, obviously I know why he didn't do it because it wasn't his direction he was giving, but it doesn't make sense why they wouldn't want anything. So like, I'm hoping that somebody comes along later and says they did something, but at this point, nobody does anything with all these.
Nope. And
It's
I think
kinda-
doesn't Stallings, like, she re-questions him about that. Like she second questions him. She goes, "So you're telling me this was not tested? It
Yep.
was gathered but not tested." And I'm like, wait
it
a
wasn't
second.
even taken. So they don't. There was like 6 car seats in the car too. I thought that was the other thing that was really interesting. Let me see where I wrote down the number. There was so many car seats in the car, it didn't make sense. Like they left the boys' car seats in the car.
Yeah. And every time they go back to this, I can't help but to think of Wanda's backyard and the van seat in the backyard that was right around where where some of the burnt trash was. And clear, we know they have another van, but still, like, oh, God, I cannot help. There was so much evidence in that backyard, and
Are we going to learn that they bought a new van, because this van is not the same van they supposedly had in Bakersfield? So that's going to be interesting too.
Yep.
Hi,
Yep.
Connie.
Hey, Connie.
Okay, so let me see. So
Hey,
they don't take any fingerprints from the van on the first visit. They do take the blankets, blankets and the pad covers from all the bedrooms. The biggest things that come out is that they, as of December 29th, so remember the boys were reported missing on December 21st. So 8 days later, all the evidence that was being brought in was tagged as a homicide investigation. It was not tagged anymore as a missing child investigation. And then in January 2021, they took a pair of pruning shears from the property. I thought that was a big deal too, because that's like one of the only things they've really talked about that they took.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tammy Sullivan is the one who comes in with the canine.
Yeah.
And this is when they get a little cross-eyed with all these cases when you're covering 3 trials, because the dang dog's name is Sadie.
Sadie.
That's the same freaking name as the Stauch dog.
Seriously, I'm like, am I losing my mind here as I'm taking these notes? I'm like, okay, maybe not.
I'm like, okay, everybody name your dog Sadie. It works. So the dog is an Australian Shepherd named Sadie, and it is trained for cadaver and any human scent, which is really interesting because I've always been under the impression you had to be one or the other. There's not very many dogs that typically do both. But the dog does give a command gives its command on those, or alert on those 2 mounds of dirt that were in the backyard. And that's when they excavate the backyard and there's nothing there.
Yeah. Like it said she showed no interest in the white van, the side yards, the vacant lots, any of the desert area. Like it was like during a 2-mile search, and that it was like no human scent of significance, basically. And then she returned back to the home on the 23rd, and then Sadie went and started in the backyard, and then through the house picked up nothing. I just don't understand. Like, even if it was just for the one, I just feel like they don't have.
This is at the new house, because the old house is an apartment.
Yep.
It's in an apartment complex, which you're going to hear a lot about the apartment complex coming up. But
That's the Casaloma Apartments.
so there's a couple different witnesses that come up, a lot of detectives that come up, and they're coming up, and this is why I was saying that they're really there to lay the foundation for things that are going to be happening later. So they're reviewing a ton of video surveillances from different locations and so on and so forth. The defense attorney's biggest thing that she's trying to do is to obviously create reasonable doubt, but so she constantly points out on every cross, and I don't want to go through each one of these because it's like this witness comes up, they watch 3 videos. This is what, these are the questions. It's literally the same over and over again. So there's a bunch of surveillance being played. The detectives are constantly asked, who is this person in the surveillance? And most of them are like, I don't know. Who talked to this person? I don't know. Who filed a report on what this person had to say and what they witnessed? I don't know. I didn't. And so we don't know if those people ever actually got followed up maybe by somebody else, because there's not a good redirect that tells us, like, like, I feel like Michael Allen would be like, did you know that Mia Moore Michelle actually wrote a report on December 12th? With that guy? And then he'd be like, no, I didn't, but now I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
All this ironed out already. I agree.
Right. They don't do that. So these people that are being asked about in these videos that are seen walking around or doing different things, They may actually have been interviewed and reports taken, but we don't know that.
Right. We don't have that.
I don't know, and it wasn't me.
Nope. Mm-mm. And yeah, they do a lot of that. They pass it to the next. Yes, they do. And that's kind of like the thing that sucks with this trial is like if you walk away for 2 seconds or if you have to stop listening for like even 5 minutes, you could be semi-lost when you come back because it's just, especially depending upon who's up for questioning. If it's Jackie's lawyer, if it's Stallings.
Mamma mia, I totally agree. Delana is a badass mod.
She is. She is our rock star, and we love her so much.
Yep. Sadie never alerted in the house, and it basically showed that the boys were like never there. But I have some struggles with that, which they didn't really go over on the cross when it came to that witness, which I'm surprised about. Maybe they'll have their own experts that come up and say something different. But
towards the end, they talk about one of the officers removes like a couple inches off of a mound in the back, and Sadie didn't hit on it. But then after he did it, it said that Sadie alerted by laying down at that area.
No, she doesn't alert. Sadie doesn't alert in the home.
Oh, no, not in the home. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
This was in the backyard.
They are being tried together, which is very, very interesting. Hi, ATS.
Hello, ATS News.
So the next big one is this Detective Kyle McNabb, and he's in charge of getting all the surveillance from all these places that they supposedly went the weekend of December 19th. But he's also getting surveillance from the places that, is he the one that got those? Maybe he's not. And he just gets the ones from December 19th. So he gets the ones from the Gasco Food Mart, the Superior Grocer, and the McDonald's. You can see in the gas place, you can see Jacqueline and Trezell in the store, but they're there at separate times. I was paying attention for this because I feel like what they're going to say is like, we weren't in the store at the same time because one of us had to stay with the two little boys, right?
Yeah.
So you see Jacqueline's in line and then Trezell's in line. They're in the store at separate times. At the grocery store, only Trezell gets out of the car and goes into the grocery store. Jacqueline stays in the car. And then at McDonald's, they couldn't get the footage from inside.
That's so like all of that mess just bothers me. Like something because a manager wouldn't call back. Like, no, you go.
That
and
was
retrieve it.
the grocer. They couldn't get the one from inside because the corporate wouldn't give it to them.
That's insane. That is just, you have 2 missing boys now into a homicide investigation and you can't get footage. Like, I just, no. Mm-mm.
Oh, Elizabeth, no way. Rub them. Get them in a towel. Make them as warm as possible. Rub and rub and rub. Stimulate.
Oh, yes.
Get them in a warm towel and rub. Rub. Fast.
Elizabeth, just keep your cool, babe. Love them like you would your babies. And
Do your
you
best.
got it. That's it. Like T said, keep them warm. Just make sure you keep them warm. Plug their noses and their eyes. Oh.
Okay, so the next detective was Philip Riccardi, and he's the one that actually went and got footage from September, basically all around, like September 12th, 16th, the 20th, the 22nd. So he's going around all of September to see if there are kids on any surveillance of where Trezell goes. And it's interesting because Trezell's the one who's on all these surveillance footages, but it's not, and you don't see Jacqueline.
Yep.
Like they are not on the same camera footage, like ever. It's interesting to me.
Are you talking about the September footage at all?
Yeah, the September footage.
Yeah. What's one of those dates, Tay? Is one of them the 11th or the 17th?
12th, 16, 20, and 22.
All right.
But I wrote down the addresses because what I thought was important was, remember, they supposedly got the keys to the new house on 9/11, my birthday.
Yeah.
The next weekend is at the beginning of this trial, they set up where supposedly Jacqueline's mom was watching the boys on the weekend of the 17th, 18th.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
And then you get the bombshell thing today. This is why I'm like, there's so many things in this case that I try to write down that even they seem really minute because they have to mean something later. Otherwise, I don't know why they're talking about them.
Yep.
But it's remembering all those little things and then putting it all together come towards the end.
Yep.
because some of it I'm like, why are we even talking about this right now? It just doesn't even make any sense.
Yep.
But
No,
they're
it
doing
does.
all of this because this is supposedly around the time of the move. So you should be able to see these kids on surveillance footage.
Yes. And when were those fires called in? One in September, one in June.
That's at Wanda's.
Yep. And where were they taking things? Trezell still had some things at Wanda's. I don't know if this is ever going to be talked about or not, but just from some of the boots on the ground who were talking to Wanda and Phil's neighbors, who told them the actual truth about the fire after, and this was after she already got the report back. And this neighbor's been pretty right on about everything else, and she was the one that had said it.
He also gets footage from a place called the Wooden Nickel.
Yep.
And in the footage, Trezell is there and he's buying a knife and 2 side straps.
Mm-hmm.
This is the beginning of December. Did I say that already? Beginning of December?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yep.
Let me see what the next one is. Okay, so the next guy comes up and he talks about that he got all the credit reports for both of them. He takes 2 Chromebooks and they find out that those are attached to 2 of the kids, probably for schooling. He gets footage of a Madeira AM/PM where there's a white Ford Suburban. This is one of those things too that was like they're telling us this, but we don't really know what's happening with it yet.
This may be the moment where they catch him with someone that's not Jacqueline, and they almost describe this person, the boots on the ground do. They describe her to fit almost Eileen, the mortgage broker's description. I don't know what you guys want to do with that, but that's just.
That's why I'm like, I'm waiting to see where it kind of goes, because it's a piece of interesting information that is going to end up being important, but you don't know what it is yet.
I know.
Which it seems to be this whole damn trial. It's very complicated.
Yep. You said it perfect, T.
Yeah, the Madeira AM/PM, there's a white Ford Suburban. You can see it's registered to Jacqueline's mom. You can see the West Get Out, a juvenile female, and another person. So once again, this is just a bunch of foundation. I don't really know where we're going with it yet. Sadie detect human remains alerted at a mound in the yard, said search and rescue volunteer Tammy Sullivan. Yes, she did. She did not alert in the house. She did not alert inside. She did alert outside on the mounds, and they dug them up. 2 separate things. I think that became confusing for some people. Sadie did not alert on inside the home of their scent, basically stating that the boys weren't there. Their scent wasn't even in the house. Let me see. One of the Wests apparently have had a family member that works in the system, CPS or whatever. They could have been fast-tracked to foster adopt. Could kickbacks have been going on? Well, what we're learning is they weren't really that fast-tracked. They had the boys for a while. And the boys were adopted in 2019, like a year and a half before they were, or a little over a year before they were killed.
Oh, yeah. They have a ton of connections. You have Wanda, she worked for the county itself and the actual the county assistance building where a lot of the fostering adoption stuff initially takes place. She knows the ins and outs. She knew, and this is outside of Jacqueline's mother, who's already done the whole fostering adoption. She knows the procedures and all that stuff. But Wanda actually knows the kids and what kids kind of get the most money and how to kind of work the system to get money for the children, especially if they're disabled in any way or they're, of a certain toddler baby age. And yeah. And then you have Uncle Jamal, who is, Trezell's half brother. I don't know if he has any connection to anything, but he's the head of the double, and I'm not even going to get that out. And he was the one that was speaking to Officer Hernandez before Hernandez was technically on the case. So yeah, there's just been a lot of funny stuff with law enforcement, then go back to adoption and fostering agencies or the system, should I say, because they didn't go through a private adoption agency. They went through the state.
So I highlighted this comment just because it kind of pertains to literally every trial that we're talking about. Also, Elizabeth's kittens. So perhaps it's a feral mama. Perhaps, Casey, perhaps. You know what, Sniper? I didn't even notice that when I wrote it down. And you are 100% right. They said
Oh.
suburban.
Yeah.
Did I? Maybe I mixed it up. No, because I'm trying to go off of what they're saying, and I didn't even catch it until you just said it. But you're 100% correct, which is so funny. Yeah, it's a white Ford Suburban. It's an anomaly. It's their one Suburban they ever made, Sniper.
Right. Another one with so many vehicles and whatnot.
Susanna, so they think that Orrin was killed in Bakersfield before the move and that Orson was killed within days of the move.
Yeah. According to the other kids, one didn't make it at all, and the other one maybe got there or maybe made it a day. And I think the younger boy says maybe 3 or 4 days, but I think that's the younger one, and he just didn't. No.
So this guy is James, who comes in and he gets a lot of warrants, calls the report. I'm trying to see if he does anything. He gets the warrants for T-Mobile and Metro PCS. One thing that I found interesting here was he also gets the warrants for Instagram and Facebook for both of them. But he gets the phones. One of those 2 phones belonged to Jacqueline, and one of the 2 phones had one of the SIM cards switched. It's another one of those that I wrote it down because I'm like, wait a minute. That's going to come up later.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have their bodies, babe. Yeah, Tiff. They haven't found the boys. That's what makes it really hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see if there's anything else, because I want to get to the really big thing from today, because this is like the bombshell, but I don't want to miss something.
Ashley, we're not too sure what exactly happened, especially because there are no bodies, but we're either assuming they were attempted to be trafficked or
the working theory from the prosecution is that the boys were not emotionally and mentally as developed as the other children. They whined and they cried a lot, and they didn't really fit into the family mold that they were looking for, but they wanted the money. Mm-hmm. So they killed them basically because they were annoying.
Yeah.
We've always kind of thought possible trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with that is if that's reasonable doubt, if the jury thinks that it's possible that they were trafficked, because I always thought that if the jury thinks that means these guys are going to be found not guilty.
Yep. Yeah.
What's your science? Supposedly, yes. One of the older boy was kind of told to keep it a secret about Orrin, the older boy that's not here anymore, the oldest of the actual children. He was 10 at the time, I believe, right? He was 10 at the time. Yep. He's supposed to be testifying because they were talking about keeping it a secret and having him keep it a secret.
Yeah. Because then he would be taken and that they wouldn't have their family anymore. And they do note that this little boy, they give him like a lead role in the home. I'm taking it almost as he was like the babysitter, considering that these kids supposedly never went with anybody else. And we can see why now. I think a lot was put onto the older child. And that's why some of the wording was the way it was in the beginning. I feel my heart aches for that boy. I mean, for all of them, but I wonder if he's going to act like when he testifies, like almost like Harley, but this is this kid's younger. I mean, he has to sit up there, look across at both of them and testify.
Parents. And that's his bio mom and dad.
Yep. Like what these kids, like they shouldn't even be in this situation. They even have to testify to begin with. And then it's just reliving all the this horrible way that they were living.
Unfortunately, Ashley, well, also fortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but unfortunately in this circumstance, in the state of California, you get money for adopting as well.
Yeah.
So, which brings me to actually the next person who ends up taking the stand is Clifton Taylor. And this guy's interesting. I talk a little bit about him because the whole thing is very interesting as it unfolds. he takes the stand, and he is works for the Department of Child and Family Services or CPS or whatever one, that they are there. He's a county. He works for the county. Kern County is what it is. He takes the stand, and before anybody says anything, he reads a statement. He just starts reading this statement.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that somebody because you can't record it or restream it. I'm wishing that maybe one of the journalists in there was able to actually copy it down verbatim. It was so weird. He just goes on and talks about how he's basically not going to say these certain things because he's bound by confidentiality under these certain matters. It was super awkward. I don't think I've ever heard anything like that because nobody's questioned him yet. He's literally just sat down and he starts reading this statement. And the judge is like, "Who told you to read that statement?" And he's like, "The counsel for the county told me to read that statement." And the judge is like, "You're going to answer all the questions or I'm going to hold you in contempt." He's like pissed that this guy just gets up there and just reads this weird statement.
Why do you think that was done, though, Tay? What's your take on that? Because I don't get it.
It was probably a disclaimer, and the judge does come back later and says that Mr. Taylor didn't do anything wrong, and he and they would not be, the state or the defense will not be asking questions that pertain to matters that would be deemed confidential. The questions won't even be there.
So the statement was more
wrong by reading it. It was just very awkward, and it was just a very strange thing.
You think he was just trying to set a tone because he knows so many are listening to this that no matter what, their personal information will never be. I don't know. I don't get why that.
I didn't feel that way. It felt to me like it was a disclaimer, don't ask me, I'm not going to answer. And it was like a protection thing for him. It was just weird though, because the judge does ultimately say we weren't going to ask you anything that had to do with the confidentiality stuff. Anyway, what they do end up asking is a lot about how the system works. And he talks that families get $1,200 per child to foster. And then when they adopt, they get, basically they were getting $1,000 a piece for the kids that they had adopted. So they had $4,000 in income based on the 4 children that they had adopted, and that was their source of income. So he's asked a lot about, are there any requirements for foster families to have a certain amount of money? And he says no, they don't. You don't have to, when you go in to apply to foster, you don't actually have to have any means of income. You don't have to have a minimum means of income.
Right.
I go in and say I make $5 a month, that they could say no, I can't foster.
Yeah.
Because he's basically you have to be self-sufficient and self-sustained.
Exactly. You have to show that you can already basically uphold your life and all the financial backings of it, and before you could take on the foster child, because of that money that you're getting for them it's just designed for that particular child to make sure, or wanting to make sure that this type of stuff doesn't happen, and just still does.
Right. But it was interesting because I was like, okay, well,
it's so when you think about it, they were making good money. Yeah.
Yeah, $1,000 per month per adopted child. So their income was $4,000 for adopting children. But nobody goes back to check. Once the kids are adopted, there's not a
nope.
Or even foster. There's no mandated reporting on, you have to call in and say, hey, I lost my job, or hey, I'm unemployed now, or anything like that. So if they had jobs when they applied to foster and adopt, that's fine. They don't have to have jobs now. That can be their source of income. Hi, Marlena.
Hello.
I know, right, Ashley? It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So he talks about the adoption process and how it goes through, a judge has to do it, and there's minimal contact after the children are adopted. They fill out paperwork every 2 years, but it doesn't include a home visit. And they can't typically give the child back. If they don't, after they adopt the child, it is their child. Yep. And it does state later on that if you have your adopted children taken by CPS, you now have to pay child support. They're your kids. You adopted them. Oh yeah, no, we're still live. This is one of those long ones. Why we go through these 3 trials, they're going to be a little longer lives. Says that the whole point of fostering is to reunification with the birth parents. If that can't happen, they do try to work with like family members. But that was pretty much the big gist of it, was that her attorney, because she's so fiery, and you guys aren't even going to realize that he has an attorney because he hardly ever asks any questions. There's a place called Jameson Center, and it's like a temporary shelter for children that they go to really when they're like taken out of like the person's care. They go to this Jameson Center. He said that kids under the age of 4, especially infants, are called emergency foster needs. So they're normally taken out within hours of being there. So on cross, she comes up and she's like, "Are you aware that kids have been raped and robbed there?" He's like, "No, I'm not aware of that." He doesn't really visit there. But I thought that was interesting. I'm like, that doesn't have anything to do with this trial, unless they're saying that the other kids were taken to the Jasmine Center. The other 4 kids.
Okay, see, that's awesome. Her grandma fostered 18.
You answer the questions or you will be held in contempt. Okay, so Rosa Espinoza takes the stand, and she's the manager for the Casa Loma apartments. And this becomes important because so much is surrounding these apartments. This is where they believe that Orrin was actually killed. She talks about that there's 14 buildings in this apartment complex, and each building has 8 apartments in it. The Wests officially moved out of their apartment on September 24th. It's important to the timeline. They show her like pictures of the overall layout of like how things are like structured in the apartments. Make sure that she says yes, this is accurate depiction of how the apartments were in 2020. And she said that she didn't have any complaints from the neighbors about Trezell and Jacqueline, and the only thing they had to replace when they moved out was the carpet and the paint, like normal. So this is the end of yesterday, and then this Alfredo Bayaca takes the stand, and he's the one that we already talked about who tested all this stuff in the van, and he was the one who did all the Blue Star and found the little spots of blood by the back that he didn't do anything with it. He only takes the stand basically to say that he took the van and had it tested, and then he doesn't come back until today, which is weird though because he doesn't come back until the end of today. So maybe it was scheduling wise. So this morning, Ralph Mosley takes the stand. You know who Ralph Mosley is? That's Orrin's bio dad.
Yep. I was surprised he was there today.
I was too.
Mm-hmm.
I was even more surprised when he testified that he and his wife went to Cal City right after they found out that the boys were missing, and that he was there for the little mini press conference that Trezell and Jacqueline did.
Mm-hmm.
He never spoke to them. He never approached them, and he says he's never spoke to them before.
Yeah.
He's basically called to the stand for the same reason that Orson's dad was called to the stand, was to say, hey, have you ever been to Cal City? Did you ever see the boys in Cal City? Did you go there and take the boys? That's really the gist of the whole thing of why he's called to the stand.
Because part of the defense, they want to throw in that there is a possibility that the Bio family came and actually did something to these kids. One of their many things they're throwing out there.
So the next witness, I'm not going to say her name correctly. I know I'm not going to. Her name was Maria del Carmen Noriega Salas. So we're going to go with Maria. And not Maria with a Spanish accent who's really Letitia Stauch. This is actually a Maria who does have a Spanish accent, who actually used a translator during her testimony. And there's something fun that happens during cross on that too. Okay, so Maria lived in the Casa Loma apartments for 10 years. On September 19th, 2020, Her daughter, who also lived in the Casa Loma apartment separate from her, moved out and left to move to Massachusetts. She went to her daughter's apartment to clean it, and she was there until approximately 11 p.m. I need to look up what date the 19th is. I think it was a Saturday, maybe.
I think so too. I'll double check them.
Yeah, see, September 19th, 2020, what day of the week it was. She said when she was cleaning, she left the apartment. And when she saw a couple that was going to the dumpster.
It was a Sunday too.
It was a Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting.
Saturday
Okay.
too.
She said that the man was tall, dark-skinned, and the woman was light-skinned with curly, wavy hair that was about 6 to 8 inches below her shoulders. The couple was carrying an ice chest. It was blue with a white lid, and each of them was holding one of the handles. When she's asked how big the ice chest was, she holds her hands up, and they actually come and measure her hands, like how the distance, and it's approximately 21 inches. She said that they went in and threw whatever they went into the dumpster area, and then when they came out, Jacqueline and her actually saw each other, like made eye contact. She said that the couple was speaking English and they were laughing loudly. They went into an apartment. They grabbed something skinny that Trezell, the male, the dark-skinned male, threw something skinny over his shoulder, and they started to walk towards this grassy area. She had seen the man one time before that, and he was walking with a stick and a diaper in the other hand. It was about a month before this. Oh, bye, Marcy.
Night. Oh, Delaney, you're good, babe.
She is shown a photo of Trezell and says, yes, that's the man she saw, but he didn't have a mustache. She's shown a photo of Jacqueline, and she says, yes, that matches her description and matches the girl she saw, and she remembers because of her beautiful hair. She had a beautiful head of wavy hair. She told her neighbor, Laura, and later calls law enforcement about it. On cross-examination, it's actually a different one of Jacqueline's attorneys that ends up cross-examining her, but she's like firing questions at her like super fast.
And this is Fatima. She's another one. She's just like
songs. Rodriguez. So she's like firing question after question after question, and the translator actually like tells her like, "Hey, you need to slow down. I can't translate that quickly," and like puts her like in her place. And so the translator is like, I have to translate this to her, and then I have to wait for her answer and translate it back. Like, I can't go as fast as I just love that she shut her down and made her like where she couldn't do that fire rapid bullshit.
Yep, love it.
Let me see.
That needed to happen. Somebody had to do that with her, especially today. Today she was fierce. Extra.
So she does say something along the lines of that she ended up looking over at them because she'd heard a very strange noise and she didn't know what the noise was, and that's how she ended up like they caught her attention was she heard this noise and starts looking at them. She later says that it freaked her out, like she was physically scared, and she said she felt the danger and she was in fear, which is interesting. Like she just some type of really bad vibe was going on.
Yeah.
She tells her neighbor Laura about it, and Laura ends up taking the stand to confirm all of these things that Maria has told her are accurate and the timing. She did not know who these people were. She did not know their names. And when the boys went missing, Laura saw the little mini press conference and actually sent the clip to Maria in January. And Maria was like, that's the couple that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Rodriguez, who's doing all this fire rapid, cross-exam, is like, do you remember your interview that when you talked to law enforcement, you told them that it was too dark and you couldn't actually see their faces? And she's like super adamant, even though she's speaking Spanish and I don't really understand Spanish that well. She's like, you could tell, she's like, no, that's who I saw.
Mm-hmm.
That's like that. No, that's who I saw. That's not what I said. That's who I saw.
Yeah.
And then the translator's like, well, she said the lights came on, and that's how she could see their faces so well.
And I think if this woman had any intentions on even half-assing her story for whatever reason, I think she would have made it a point to nail both of them and not just one. I think that's where her honesty absolutely comes in, and I no doubt believe her just for that reason, because she's just being honest. You know, whether that was Trezell or not, she's like, well, that's not who I saw, but I definitely saw this person.
Yeah, she's like, no, those two people right there, that's who I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Susanna, it's weird. And she says like she felt it. She felt it. Oh yeah, sniper. Mm-hmm.
Gut's never wrong. It's never wrong. She got that feeling, that whole vibe came across her.
So then the other lady does come and takes the stand and says, yeah, this is all what had happened. This is what happened. And she did call me, and she was clearly shaken up. She was very upset and like didn't want to hang up the phone because she was so nervous about what was happening.
And I think she was the one. Do you remember, T, when they had when they were interviewing neighbors from the Casaloma apartments, and the one neighbor needed a translator? Well, she didn't need a translator. She was speaking in Spanish, and they end up putting what she said in Google Translate. And she was talking about, you know, boys being trafficked and how Jacqueline's mom knew a lot about adoption and fostering and things like that.
You think that's her?
Only because of the whole translation thing. And her friend did speak English, but we never saw their faces or anything. And it was just one of like AV type interviews that he did. And she was the one that said like how the apartments were sectioned out and who lived where. And she was able to show who the niece was. She pointed out Jacqueline's sister. And then she was also the one that said that Trezell really never came through the front. He always pulled his van or whatever up in the back.
Yeah, and he always parked in a parking spot that was not actually his parking spot. It was like for like the visitors.
Yeah.
He never parked. They didn't park the van in their actual parking spot for their apartment.
I think that's why some of them didn't think he actually lived there, but he did.
So, I mean, that to me is huge. This lady randomly sees them on the 19th. They're carrying out. I mean, I know that's so reasonable doubt. I totally get it because, okay, now they're moving out. People always throw tons of stuff away when they move out. That's just how it goes. Lisa Lulu. I love Yankee candles. They're my favorite. And Nadine's melts are amazing like that. I've asked her to make candles, and she says that that's just got too much liability, and she doesn't want me to sue her if my house burns down kind of thing. But I'm just joking.
She knows how you are.
Her melts are amazing.
They are. And so is Nadine. You'll be very happy.
We love Nadine. They're totally worth it. Mm-hmm. So that's really the big thing. Like I said, I felt like today that we were actually making some progress. We were getting some real information. Does that mean that she actually witnessed them carry one of the boys out to the trash? I don't know. But I mean, it was a really big piece of information that I've never heard before.
Yeah, we never got that.
Whoa.
If they had that for a while now, they did a great job of not getting any of that out. Because, like boots on the ground's found her and things like that. But we have never heard anything like that in all this time. So
it could be a big deal.
Oh, everything about this case makes me nervous. Everything.
I know, but they're building. They're building. So I'm like, okay, I'm not counting you out yet. Some days I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing here? And then other days I'm like, okay, now today I'm like, okay, I see what we're doing, but we don't have trial again until Tuesday. So now we're getting a little break from that case.
Yeah. Okay, we need it.
They threw the whole cooler away. So on cross, she is asked, did you see them throw anything away? And she says, no, I did not see them throw anything away. But basically, they went to the dumpster area with the cooler. And when they leave the dumpster area, they don't have the cooler. So, I don't know.
The size of the cooler would fit that baby. No problems.
Okay. All right. So let me see. Any final thoughts on Wes before we finish? We're going to finish up our live talking about Vallow.
No,
Google Translate is notoriously bad.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who was doing it. It was either somebody that was with AV or it was another person who lived in Casa Loma but was searching at the same time. And then somehow they ran into this woman and had this conversation with her, and that's how they got that. But we don't know if this is actually her. I just, out of all of them from the Casa Loma, most of them do speak Spanish, but they also speak English. She didn't at all, and I don't know. And she had a friend who spoke pretty clear English. I don't know.
Okay. Maria Salas said freezer chest. She said, I thought she said cooler. Maybe she did say freezer chest and I wrote cooler. She said it was a blue cooler with a white lid.
Yep.
Oh, she also tried to give her some crap because she calls, she said that Trezell is black, obviously in Spanish, that's negro. And so the defense attorney tries to like throw that at, did you just call him black in your Latin tongue or whatever? What did she say? The way she said, I can't even say it the way she said it. But it was like trying to insinuate that she was saying something like racist.
Yeah,
that
like prejudice.
She doesn't like black people or something.
Right.
I was like, are you like that? Are you serious right now? Like,
And it wasn't. It was just her describing or whatnot. Like I didn't get that at all. Like at all. But that's kind of what she does. She flips everything.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was like, she was not doing anything racist.
Not at all.
I know. It was ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk some Lori crazy Vallow. I gotta even find out where my notes are. Hold on. We did not have court Monday. We've had court Tuesday and Wednesday.
Kylie and JJ and more need their justice.
Okay, here it is. So when we left court on Friday, Zulema was on the stand. So when we talked on our Saturday live, we talked about Zulema, but her testimony wasn't done. So for refreshers, Zulema is the one who married Alex Cox, which is Lori Vallow's brother. She married him because, well, she doesn't say why, but basically the theory is that she married him because to be part of the $144,000, you needed to be married. You had a stronger chance of being in this $144,000 and being able to win this fight if you were married. So Chad and Lori want her to marry Alex because he's like top notch. He wasn't at the beginning. He was low on the scale of anything good, but now he's wonderful. So they want her to marry Alex. So she ends up marrying Alex, and then he dies in her home a couple weeks later. Which she doesn't know her wedding date, which I find very interesting. They keep asking her, they've asked her a couple times when she gets married, and she says she got married on December 1st. But the wedding license actually says that they were married on November, let me see if I can remember the date, November 29th, I think it is.
Yeah, she stumbled on that one.
And then she's like, there's so much trauma around that date and everything that happened that I don't remember. So let's see. Okay, so this is Cross and it's Thomas. So Lori has these two attorneys. There's Archibald and there's Thomas. Archibald at this point now has cross-examined Colby, but up until Zulema, he had only ever done the opening statement. He had not done anything else for the trial. Only Thomas had. So if you guys look at all the little like the drawings, you typically see John Thomas. That's the defense attorney. So it talks about that her first date with Alex was in August of 2019. And Thomas says, oh, I must have been confused because I thought you said that your first date was in November. And she said no, he proposed in November. And then they got married. And that's why she wasn't sure about her wedding date. She says that Alex came to her house in Arizona right before Thanksgiving. Most of the stuff we kind of covered on Saturday's live because it did come up during the direct examination. Now we're talking about the cross-examination, so sometimes it comes up again. Allie.
Oh yeah.
Really? I didn't hear the "All My Baby." Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
He didn't even acknowledge it, apparently.
I don't. Did she have a $2 million life insurance policy now? So Colby testified that she did have a life insurance policy when she was, or when he was when he was young and he was a teenager-ish, and that he was the beneficiary. I don't know if she still had one now. I didn't know if Nate Eaton even knew she had one now. I know, such a farce, Mary. He didn't even know. He's like, that's my mom's friend. I was like, no, buddy, that's your stepdaddy.
Oh,
Say hello
man.
to your stepdaddy. So he goes there. So Alex goes to Zulema's house on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We know that from the direct examination that Lori and Chad call Alex on December 11th to tell him that Tammy's body's being exhumed. And he kind of freaks out and tells Zulema that he thinks that they're going to make him the fall guy. Let me see what he said. I have to take a minute to say I truly feel blessed and grateful to be part of some. Oh my gosh, we love you.
Delana.
That's not a yes, that's correct.
Love you tons, babe.
I didn't hear that either, but that's what Nate said. Yes, now because he changes it to only him in 2019. That must be new. Did that come out today, Allie? I missed that.
I think it was his special last night, wasn't it? Well, at least the first half of what Allie said, I believe.
Well, no, I know that they asked him about life insurance when he was on the stand, and he says that she had life insurance when he was younger, and that he did believe he was the beneficiary, even though that Lori and JJ, or Tylee and JJ, were both born by that point and were in the family. But I don't remember. Yes, now because he changes it to only him in 2019. You mean she? Hold on. I need more clarification. She changed it to only him in 2019. Yes, today from Nate Eaton last night and this evening about life insurance. Okay, all that life insurance stuff that's new. I haven't watched Nate Eaton tonight. Crazy, Allie, crazy. Because I know he was asked too. He was asked about the life insurance, and he was like, I don't know. So she has $2 million in life insurance, and Colby is the beneficiary. But Lori's whole thing is that she had life insurance. This is what she would tell all of her friends and her family, that Charles and Adam, her other brother, and Adam's son, oh gosh, why can't I remember his name? I can't remember Adam's son's name. Zach, I think? Zach Cox. There's two Zachs. One's like Charles's kid and one's Adam's kid. Adam's son, Adam, Charles, and Brandon were all in this conspiracy to kill Lori because they wanted her life insurance money.
Oh, well. Okay.
That was like her big thing. That's what she convinced her family of. And the family believed her and actually got pissed at Adam and Zach.
Oh, she had too many going, huh?
Okay, so I'm behind today. So this is the case that I was not able to 100% keep up with today. That this was my third. I figured I was going to watch the trial tonight anyway. And because we have a break in West and only one day to talk about for Stauch come Saturday, I figure we'll cover most of today's stuff then, because we're going to have a lot with Colby tonight on this live. And so I figure most of today's stuff we'll talk about Saturday. Does that make sense? Is that fair?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll listen to the Courtroom Insider. Okay, question. Ask, shoot. Don't tell people you have a $2 million life insurance policy. Yeah, they're very out there. Okay, so I need to pull up the recording because that's the big one. So Zulema, they go through all of crazy Zulema's text messages, And Zulema, oh gosh, I can't even describe how this naive, gullible, whatever you want to call Zulema is. She's so just believes everything they say. She thinks that Lori talks to Jesus and that Chad has a veil to the other side, and he can see things. I don't know. Zulema also says that she saw one day at the temple. She saw the Heavenly Father, the Heavenly Mother, and Jesus Christ. And he asks her, "What happened when you saw them?" And she says, "I don't remember." And he says, "So you're telling me that you saw the Heavenly Father, the Heavenly Mother, and Jesus Christ, and you don't remember what happened?" And she says, "Yeah, I don't remember." Do you think she really loves him? It's weird after what she did to the other kids. I do think she loves him. And I actually think that she loves Tylee and JJ. My personal opinion is that Lori believes the shit that she sold to herself. She thinks that her kids were already gone. So whatever happened to these bodies they weren't her kids. So her kids weren't harmed in any of that. Her kids were already taken over. So I think she truly loves her kids, and she thinks this is all just a flippin' mess because we're so far below her mentality, hers and Chad's in this group that know the teachings and can speak to Jesus Christ and can see the veil, that we don't get it, which is why she's above us and she laughs at us. What did they slip her? I talk to Jesus too. I pray. And I talk to Jesus too when I pray. But I've never seen Jesus. Now, do I think that some people have? I think it's very possible. But well, I don't think that that's the circumstances here. I don't think these people are all together. The other interesting thing about Zulema's testimony is Zulema actually says that she was in, we already go over this part, we may have, but I just think it's so interesting, so I may go over it again. But that she was in the temple when Tammy was being shot at. Did we talk about this? And then how Michelle, did we already talk about this? You're gonna have to remind me. Oh yeah, she also saw her eternal husband who she could not identify. Yes. And it wasn't Alex, apparently. Hold on, I'm going to go back and see if we already talked about this, see if that was in direct or not. Because she was in the temple, and then she talks about that she was, when her and Lori were having like this conversation, and Zulema, like Lori was very happy, and Zulema heard her on the phone, and then when she got off the phone, she's like, "That idiot can't do anything right. Such a moron." Did we already talk about that? I think I lost Michelle. She may have gone to the restroom. I think Lori believes the shit that Chad makes up. She gets Chad the prophet, and Chad gets sexy time with Lori. I don't disagree. The other weird thing is, too, is that she already bought into some of this stuff beforehand. So I think she was already susceptible to some of these different like teachings. And she was, because Melanie says that she had had these conversations with her prior to meeting Chad, but we also know that Lori had read some of Chad's books first. It's so weird to try and understand these people. I know. I can't help but wonder if it even possible people like Lori can even love. You know what? Here's, okay, and I love Nate Eaton, so please don't take this the wrong way. He does all these questions every night, like he takes the audience's questions, and somebody asked him if anybody that was friends with Lori and Chad has gone through reprogramming yet. And Nate said, "I don't know what you mean by that." And I thought, how do you not know what they mean? Like, these people are in a cult. And the reprogramming is like what happens when you get out of a cult, and it's like having to learn all the things again and learn what you learned was not real or not true, or it's reprogramming. And Nate was like, "I don't know what you mean by that." And I was like, "Nate, come on. How do you not know?"
Nate's your boy too.
I do. I love Nate.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything with Zulema before we move on to Colby. She just talks about how much she loved Chad and Lori and how she believed everything that they said, and that she thought that when she was doing these things that it was like talking about them like as words. Remember, I think we talked about that it was a verbal burn. She talks about like you close your eyes and you imagine like a light or you imagine like the fire around the person, and that's how you can help heal people. It's not supposed to be real. And
like
she
she
said
did
that
some of that.
Lori always told her she was like the most important person on this mission. She was going to be, instrumental to everything that was happening.
I think that they completely saw right through. I'm not going to say her name right, Zulema. I think she was gullible. She had her own reasons. I don't think they were good enough for what the hell she was doing, but it was like just like be a part of something, or I don't know, just very weird.
She said that that Alex was made to feel really special, and that's how, especially as he was turning, because he wasn't always on the lightest side. I wondered that too, Corky, if he's LDS. I don't actually know. I've never looked, asked, even paid attention if he does say it. But when he said that, I was like, I wonder if he is. I don't know, though. But she talks about that Alex like totally believed everything that they were saying, and that they had made him feel like he was something of importance because in his past lives, he was also an angel. And in one of the lives, he had unmasked Satan. And so that's why Satan hated him and had like a huge animosity towards him and was making sure that Alex had to fight to keep his light because he was Satan's enemy, because he was an angel that had unmasked him. Truth junkie, is he? He probably is, but this is also very extreme. So I feel like he's talked about the church as if he's not a member, and LDS sent out a letter asking people not to participate in the trial and stuff. Ooh, did they really? He may just know a lot about the religion because he's from Idaho, and there is a lot of LDS in the area. One thing I didn't know was that they had wards. Did you know they had wards? I learned that.
I learned that.
I did. I learned that there's wards. I didn't know that. She has posted the letter and stuff. Ooh, I'll have to go look. Here's a scripture that reminds me of Lori. Don't think more highly of yourself than you ought to. It's not a precise quote, but it's darn close. Delana, you are an angel, by the way.
She is. She's our rock star mod angel that we just love. And Delana is literally everybody's friend, and she literally is your friend. Like, very good person.
Heart of gold.
So
the next one that takes the stand. Oh, you did have to go to the restroom. I said you probably went to the restroom.
It was 10 minutes ago.
Let me see. I have this. Okay, so Colby's the next one that takes the stand. And Colby is Lori's oldest child. His dad's name is William, I believe, but he doesn't know his dad. He wasn't raised by his dad. His mom married Joe Ryan, and Joe Ryan, I thought this was kind of crazy, and you guys tell me in chat what you thought of this, that they asked him, were you adopted by Joe Ryan? And he doesn't know. He doesn't know if he was ever adopted by Joe Ryan. And then they ask but your name is Ryan, and that's the name you go by, and he's like, yes. Now, wouldn't all of his documents say Ryan if he was actually adopted? And if they didn't, they probably wouldn't say Ryan. He wouldn't just be able to take that name, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't know if he was actually adopted. So I'm like,
he doesn't. That's like that completely threw me. But I don't know enough about this case that I'm like, huh? He didn't. And he doesn't like Joe either, right? Didn't seem to like Joe too much.
No. Well, so Joe, according to Colby, had SA'd him.
Oh, that's right.
So that's why and they talk about this, and there's some objections and some sidebars and some things that happen because on cross-exam, the defense attorney, which is actually Archibald, it's the first cross since the trial started that Archibald actually did. And he starts to ask some of these things, and there's objections all over the place, and it gets a little kind of hazy because they talk about Colby when he was young, and if he suffered from depression and had suicidal tendencies, and he
Yeah.
did. And Colby answers the questions so quick.
Yep.
So they make sure to let us know that Colby is actually there by subpoena. You could tell he does not want to be there. That basically they're making him be there, but he was also subpoenaed by the defense. So on cross, the judge comes out and says, I'm going to give the defense a little bit more leeway because they're not going to end up calling him back. And I thought, this is interesting. This could go to like the Harley Hunt situation, but it's obviously a different judge, so it can go either way.
Oh, yeah.
But he said, we're going to give the defense a little bit more leeway because he is on the defense's witness list as well. So basically, they don't have to call him back. So they can kind of ask him some of those questions that they would ask him. And then he's going to allow Rob Wood a redirect so that with that information. So it makes it a little easier. For this one, I was paying attention to Nate's tweets because he said that Colby refused to look at his mom. He was not going to look at her, but that Lori was staring very intently at Colby most of the time.
Yeah.
Then one time Colby does look over at her and shakes his head in disgust and just looks away.
He breaks down when he talks about his sibling. It's heartbreaking to hear him testify. And I don't know much about this case, but just hearing his testimony was.
Colby's like a lost soul. And it's tough because he does say he's still married, but if you remember, it was like the end of last year, he was actually arrested on sexual R word against his wife. Yeah. The charges were eventually dropped.
Did he get in any more trouble after all this, or was it? So they talk about that Joe Ryan was, his stepdad. He took his name, but he did not get along with him, and so they move away. And Charles was actually the father figure, and him and Charles got along really well. So that's Charles Vallow. Talks about that when he was told about Charles dying, that he was told that Charles had a heart attack, that Lori told him Charles had a heart attack. And when he goes to Lori's house later that day, he actually sees Alex, and Alex is the one that tells him that that Charles hit him in the head with a bat and that he shot Charles. That's how he learns that Charles was shot, because Lori told him it was a heart attack. Imagine walking into that. I mean, but mind you, your stepdad is dead, and you're walking into a pool party at your mom's new house. Mm-hmm. He's just like, wait, what? You're having a party. Nobody's in distress. Nobody's what is going on here? She made that kid lose his mind. This is interesting. Thank you, Miss K, for finding that. So it says Colby has been identified as Brian's son in some reports, but court documents obtained by the son reveal that he was never actually adopted by Joseph, but did take his last name. So they went and legally changed his last name to Ryan, but there was no adoption. And then what, had this kid believing this all this time? Well, I don't know. He said he didn't know. So it's so odd. It's interesting. I do care about the kids, period. That's why I pay attention but can't follow the details. Gannon was the one since day one. I follow all details. However, it's crazy making as well. It very much is. But I feel like this sense of justice coming. I don't know. I feel so good about that trial getting a good outcome. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it doesn't bring Gannon back, but we'll bring him some justice. I mean, and she will hopefully pay for what she did. Same thing with Jacqueline and Trezell, and same thing with hopefully these two and anybody else a part of it. So I don't know if you guys heard the call with Colby and his mom, but I'm going to play it, and it's a little bit longer, but I still want to play. I want to play part of it because it's just so empowering, and because most of the time we're listening to most of the stuff in tweets, but since East Idaho News is purchasing all of it, they're posting it, and I feel so bad for Colby. I do feel bad for him. So I'm gonna play some of it, and we'll see how it goes. But because some of it's hard to hear anyway. Have you listened to it yet, Michelle? What, the call with his mom? Yeah, this one. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's hard, huh? It is. Yes, Susanna, that's exactly what was happening. Imagine your mom just goes into like monster zombie mode, and then he's trying to make her understand through his own like religious beliefs and what he's been taught his entire life and what he's been raised on. And right there, that gets me. He's fighting.
Jamie, Texas chick, that's interesting that they could just take the name. I'm assuming that they would have to have filed paperwork somewhere along the lines.
Yeah.
She says, I'm not hiding. Why would I be hiding? And he's like, because you murdered my siblings.
Yep. And she just keeps telling him he has no idea what he's talking about, and he's listening to everybody else, and he's like, no, like, no. And that's where, like, even through Colby's conversation, I totally agree with you that I do think that Lori, prior to all this craziness or whatever the hell happened to her, that she did love those kids, you know. And I think Colby verified it, but at the end is when he's asked about his mom. Just again, it's just another one of these kids paying for what their monstrous friggin' parent did, and then here taking out one of his siblings and somebody he loves. It's not like she just killed somebody that, you know, and that's nuts all by itself. That's enough right there. But your siblings, and then she's given you all this crazy shit that you cannot fathom because she's raised you on this particular belief your entire life. I don't know. You there, Tate? You may have lost it.
I'm muted. Can you hear the recording or no?
No, I was just talking.
You can't hear it?
No, I thought you were about to play it, and then you went quiet.
I was
So
playing it. Hold on. I think I have to actually share the screen so you guys can hear it. I'm over here listening.
She's like, I got it.
Oh my gosh, this is hilarious.
And yes, Casey, she will, for sure.
I was listening to it, and then I was listening to you, and I'm like, hey, here we go. Okay, let me know if you can hear it?
Yeah. I already know it's low, so I don't know if you can turn it up more on your end or not, but it's a low call.
No, I feel bad, but what I want to do is I want to download it, but Nate like specifically asked YouTubers to not download the stuff, but I know I can fix the audio and make it louder. And I want to do it, but I'm like, he asked us not to, and I feel like so disrespectful if I do.
Yeah. I'm one of those. I can't do what I'm not told.
Maybe you should understand.
I didn't. I'm sorry that you felt that way.
You didn't do anything, right? Mom, I've prayed for you in my worst moments. I prayed for my siblings who swore to me were okay. I thought I could trust you.
Okay, I know it's really low, so I don't even know. You might have to maybe I'll just link it and you guys can listen to it. I did write down a lot of what was said, so maybe I'll just, hold on, shoot.
Mom, you've been
So I wrote down a lot of what was said, not all of it, but basically she says, you want to talk to me? And he's like, you've been hiding from me. And she's like, I'm not hiding. I just didn't think you wanted to talk to me. And he said, because you murdered my sibling? He's like, I trusted you and I prayed for you. And she's like, I didn't do anything. And he's like, you swore to me that they were okay. You swore they were okay. And then he's like, I thought you were a completely different person. And she says, you've known me your whole life. And he says, I don't know a murderous mother. And he says, it kills me to watch you play victim. He said, to know my phone is being texted from my little sister who isn't even alive. Can you say God's will? Can you say Jesus Christ is on your side? And she says, please, I can't tell you that. And then he says, Jesus will judge you. And she starts laughing. And he's like, you're laughing? And she says, nobody was there. You weren't there. Tylee and JJ know what happened. They love me and they are free. They know the truth. And he said, the kids were found buried in your new husband's backyard. And he says, I pray for you and I pray for him, even though I want to hit him in the face with a shovel. Those are my big takeaways. There's obviously more stuff in there, like a lot more about he wants her to say Jesus' name. He wants her to say that that she believes that Jesus is the one who told her that this was what she was supposed to do. And she just keeps saying, you weren't there. You weren't there. I'm being judged. And he says, I would have taken them. I would have taken them. And she's like, yeah, everybody says that now.
Yep. But in his voice, when he says that, like he says,
where was my offer? Where was my offer?
Calls hard, man. Hearing these older children like fight for the life that they used to have and the people that were in it that were taken, like and it's their parent. Like it's their parent. I don't know.
They talked to him about finances and the fact that he was receiving money from Tylee's account, Cash Apps and Venmos. So Tylee got Social Security from her dad, Joe Ryan, when he passed away in 2018. So she had the money it was direct deposited straight into her bank account. And the testimony comes up later in the day from the detective who had to go over all of the financial stuff. Hi, Brian, long time no see. I didn't even see you pop in here.
I
know. So he was still receiving money. He was receiving money from Tylee's account after Tylee's last proof of life. So we know that Tylee was alive on September 8th. That's the last time we know she was alive, and he was still getting money in October. And Lori would message him things like, did Tylee send you the money yet? And he'd be like, no, not yet. And then she'd go, okay, well, I messaged Tylee, and then Tylee would send the money, and then he would message Lori back, okay, Tylee sent it. But all of this is just Lori. And during her trips at the beginning, Tylee's phone was actually traveling with Lori, but Tylee was not traveling with Lori. Yeah, there's 29 transactions after Tylee was dead, where she's sending money. So since Joe wasn't his dad, I guess that would mean that he wasn't legally adopted. Maybe I don't know if he knew that then. I wonder if that's something he figured out after he died, because if he was legally adopted, he would have had a right to the Social Security as well.
Yeah.
So I guess that does pretty much show that he was not legally adopted.
For sure.
And Tylee would give him money, knowing that it was Tylee Ryan and Colby Ryan. So she would give him some of Joe Ryan's money.
That makes sense too.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if there's anything else really big about Colby's. Do you remember anything else big about Colby's? The call was like the biggest thing to me.
No, you kind of hit it all. The call, especially, I paid attention to, and you literally hit everything for me. That was pretty much everything for you.
She could have offered to give them up to Charles or etc. Yet her and Chad had to do things this way because Chad was told from the veil that you can't be divorced. So this is how it had to go down. And that's one big thing is Chad is actually charged with Tammy's death and Lori's charged with conspiracy in Tammy's death.
I'm kind of semi-excited for Chad's trial now, just knowing that his attorney's been sitting, or that whole situation's been sitting in there taking notes. I think that they're going to take that now a whole different course and everything. I think more will be even revealed in that trial once we're done with all the bombshells with this. It'll connect.
Chad's attorney wanted cameras. He actually was pro camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if we might get a camera in Chad's.
Yeah.
It would be way better than this debacle, but at least we can hear this one. We can hear this trial better. The audio is better than the West trial.
For sure.
So if you're not actually listening to the West trial live, let me just tell you the audio in the Vallow trial is better.
Way better. Way better.
Well, she misused everything. She misused everybody's money. So she was also getting Social Security from Charles for JJ, and then she was getting Social Security disability for JJ because he was autistic. So she was getting all of this money, and that's basically how she lived. She lived off of the Social Security of her deceased husbands, and they were counting on the life insurance. She got, I think it was $65,000 from Joe's life insurance.
Wow.
And I don't know a ton about Joe's death, so I don't want to get too far into it because I'll be speaking on things I'm not 100% on. But I do believe he was actually like in his apartment for like 2 weeks before he was found.
Yeah. Guys, T and Missy and Alex Erickson, they did a live a while back covering this, and Missy made this amazing like diagram connecting all of Lori's husbands and what had happened. And then Allie provides another of who's who to what. So if you're like me and you're like not all the way caught up in this case, check out that live. It'll catch you all the way up, I promise. I like it was Allie's who's who, and then it was Missy's breaking down of the husbands and everything, and exactly what she collected from who and what she got from who and what had happened. It was a good visual.
I don't know if she wanted to tell Kay that, or if she just told Melanie that she told Kay that. Because there was a whole bunch of lies to each different person, so it was kind of all around. I'm not sure if she actually told Kay that. Did she tell Kay that? She may have testified to that, Corky, and my brain is not comprehending it at the moment, so just tell me if I'm wrong. But I remember her telling Melanie that. She was definitely funding Chad.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
So that's why I said I'm behind on today's Vallow stuff. So we're going to cover today's Vallow stuff on our Saturday live. But the last thing they go over yesterday was a bunch of these accounts, and there's just accounts everywhere. But the one main thing was that Lori was taking Tylee's money, and she actually changed it to have Tylee's Social Security deposited into her own account. And the other one was they looked at Alex's accounts, and Alex took out a loan for medical expenses. And it was $21,000 he had deposited. And when he got the money, he started buying guns and ammo. He bought a total of 46 guns.
He bought a Jeep too. Did that have any significance in this at all?
The Jeep?
Yeah.
The Jeep was Tylee's. Charles bought it for Tylee, but Tylee made the car payment with her Social Security money from Joe.
Okay. Did you go over the email thing?
That was on our last live.
Oh.
The email from Charles, from Lori to Chad, but was really from Charles.
Sent by Chad to Julie, the realtor in Hawaii.
No, that's today's stuff.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
So no, I'm not going to go over any of today's stuff till Saturday.
I only got halfway through, I think, today.
Yeah, so Saturday we're going to go live, and we're going to have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of Vallow, and we're going to have Friday of Stauch, and no West. Ooh, did she really, Brian? I did not know that.
Oh, you know what? Thank you. It's been so hard to even try and keep up with any case, especially the Idaho 4. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I'm knee deep in these, and then I was digging into a missing mom from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I was until everything happened with my dad this week. So yeah, Chad got the $400K from Tammy's life insurance policy. That was like the plan, was to kill these people off, and then just to take their money, and that's how they were going to live the rest of their lives.
Pretty much. A busted up Liz Taylor.
Well, she was taking care of Chad because one of the things, this is before Tammy died, one of the things that she was doing was she was paying for Chad's flights to come and see her. And then that way Tammy didn't notice that she was paying for them. So she bought Tylee and Tylee's friend a plane ticket to go to Hawaii, and then she paid for Chad to come and visit her.
Oh, wow.
Alex was driving Tylee's Jeep after Tylee was killed because he took the Jeep down to Arizona to take the shots at Brandon Boudreaux. Delana, I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Yes. Like, Delaney, we honestly cannot thank you enough. Like, you're an amazing person, an amazing mod, and you handle Chad, and we love you for it. Same thing with Chad. You guys are so cool and kind to each other. You keep it easy. We just chit chat. So, me too, are very appreciative of all of you.
I know that when we do these with these 3 trials, it's just it's a lot of info. It's a lot to go over. I'll do the same thing I did with the other ones, though. I'll break it up. So if there's a specific case that you missed or want to come back for, or any of those things, that it'll be easier for you guys to find which one's what.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
we'll be
Brian.
live on Saturday, like I said. So
Brian, we covered Letitia too, babe, in the beginning. If you do want to fast forward, I know you came in late and you like that trial. If you want to go in the beginning.
yeah, Stauch's back towards the beginning, and then I'll link this audio. I don't know. I feel bad. I want to make it louder though, and I don't know. I'll leave it this way. You guys can just put some earbuds in.
Yeah.
But once again, I mean, as I always tell you guys, I know you have 1,000 other places that you could spend your time, and you choose to spend it here with us. And I appreciate each and every single one of you, whether you were here for 5 minutes or the whole 3.5 hours. I appreciate you. Michelle, I can't even tell you what I would do without you. You're like, I don't know, like my right hand.
No, I love you. Stop it. I love what we do.
I love you.
Love you.
I love all you guys.
Yes.
I really do. I appreciate you more than I could ever tell you. We will be back on Saturday. Like I said, we'll have 3 days of Vallow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we'll have 1 day of Stauch. So tomorrow, hopefully, I'll have the opportunity to get a little bit more caught up with the rest of the afternoon from Vallow from today. So I
Thanks
thank you
for hanging
guys.
in there.
I appreciate you guys, and we will see you on I don't know who's live right now, so I don't know where to tell you to go.
I didn't see anybody pop up yet. Give me 1 second. I'll give you somebody. Hold on. We have. Where's all of our peoples at? Brittany, about an hour ago.
she live?
She either went live or she uploaded some videos.
Probably live.
Gray Hughes is covering Glory. Day 7. I'm trying to find any of our circles of people. Mob Crew uploaded a couple videos on Lori.
Yeah, Britt's live right now. I'll probably go over there.
Okay.
All right, you guys. You go to Britt's. You make sure you tell her. You make sure you tell her that criminality.
Pete sent you.
I'm just joking. Don't tell her that I'm better. Go over there and tell her that I love her, because I do.
That's it.
And I'll see you guys over there.
And we love you guys. Thank you for
Love you
hanging
guys.
Thank you for loving the
Bye,
babies.
Maria, and thank you. Yes, thank you guys for the prayers for my pops.
Yes. Everybody keep T's dad in your prayers, and keep T's grace and sanity in your prayers too.
Yes, I
We
need
can
it.
throw
I
it.
really do need that. I need that a lot.
We got it.
All right. Bye, you guys.
Good night, guys. Bye.